management. Some colors on here.
For just $67, you can generate as many videos as you want and never have to worry about showing your face on camera or using complex editing tools with only a few clicks.
Here's the AI news you might have missed this week. Oh, by the way, I'm not actually at home this week. I'm actually in a hotel room here in San Francisco for OpenSauce. But I'll be teleporting back and forth a little bit throughout this video because, well, I struggle to stay in one place for too long. Anyway, let's get into it. Starting with a new update that we got inside of Claude Code on desktop. It now has an in-app browser. So just a few days after OpenAI launched their new ChatGPT app that has a bunch of built-in browser features in it, Anthropic went, that's a cool idea, let's add it into our app. I mean, that's probably not what happened, but that's what it felt like. So if you're inside your Claude app, it doesn't work inside of the normal chat side. You have to be on the Claude Code side. Go into one of your projects and you can hit Command-Shift-B and it will actually open a little browser on the right side. You can also hit this little browser icon in the top right, and that will also open the browser here. And of course, you could go wherever you want, like Future Tools. And let's say I'm editing this site right now. I can use this little annotation feature where I select elements, and let's say I want to select this button here. Well, it highlights the button over in the code on the left, and I can say, change the text to get on my list. And if I was actively working on the website right now, it would go and make that tweak for me. Another really cool thing about having the browser inside of the code window here is you can have it go and find things for you by using the browser. I did this inside of the ChatGPT app in my most recent video where I showed all the ways to use ChatGPT, and I basically had it go look stuff up on Twitter and Instagram for me. It's really expensive to use the X API and have it pull data from X for you. But if you have a tool that has browser access, it doesn't need to use the API. It can just go and scroll X for you and find stuff. So another really cool use case of having the browser over here on the right side. So Google rolled out a few new AI features this week, including the ability to connect more of your apps to search. So you can already connect a whole bunch of apps inside of Google Gemini. However, they're making it so you can connect apps inside of AI search mode. This AI mode that's directly in search now has the ability to connect to more apps. Now, it doesn't appear that there's like a traditional add apps section here. You just kind of give it a prompt, and then if there's an app it can connect to based on what you prompted it with, it will try to connect it to that. So let's try make a grocery list for me and add it to a shopping cart for someone to purchase for me. You can see it's searching apps, and then it found the Instacart app, and it's asking me to connect to the Instacart app. So that's essentially how it's going to work. You're going to ask AI mode a question, and if it finds an app that will work really well to help you with that question, you can then connect to that app and sort of take the process further. So even Google search is becoming more and more of like an AI agent for you, which is really interesting. Another new thing that Google rolled out this week is some updates with their Vids platform. Now, if you're not familiar with Google Vids, it's not the same as Veo. Google Vids is like their platform that will make like slideshow presentation type videos for you. However, they just rolled in the new Gemini Omni to it. So not only will it generate what looks like a slide, you can actually use the new Omni so that it actually animates what was on the slide as well. You can also now chat to edit your video, so you just talk through what you want changed in the video, it will do that. But they also added this new feature into Vids where you could import yourself. You can actually drop an avatar of yourself into a video, and the example they give is, generate a happy birthday card, and then it generates this video here.
Happy 30th birthday, Sarah. Can't wait to celebrate this weekend.
Now, I don't think that AI is fooling anybody into really thinking that was the real sort of video. But yeah, like what you've been able to do with Sora and the various Meta product, you can now do inside of Google Vids, where you upload an avatar and it will sort of incorporate your avatar into your video now. We got an update out of Spotify this week. According to their latest press release, you can now talk to Spotify. We're making it easier to shape what you hear, understand what's playing, and explore your listening just by asking. Premium users will see new ways to talk to Spotify across home and the now playing view on mobile. By typing or speaking directly in the app, you can have a back and forth conversation to choose what's playing, learn about the music you love, revisit your listening history, and go deeper on podcasts and audiobooks, all without leaving Spotify. This is probably a really bad idea because everybody's going to judge me, but let's see if I can get this to work and what it tells me. All right, so I'm in my Spotify account, and right in the middle, there's like a little beta thing next to that blue circle there. If I click in there, it tells me I'm about to talk to an AI, and I can ask for some music. Now, I won't be able to play any of the music on this video because it'll get copyright claimed, but let's see if it works. What was I listening to 2 years ago? Make a playlist of that kind of music. All right, access to listening history, filtering 2 years back, identifying dominant genres. I'm kind of scared. All right, so it's playing some lo-fi music. So here's the playlist that it made, and it's all sort of like lo-fi beats. I tend to listen to a lot of lo-fi beats that don't have lyrics while I'm working. So this definitely tracks. That's what I would have been listening to 2 years ago. It's also kind of what I still listen to a lot of on Spotify. What's my most listened to song of 2025? Yeah. Another lo-fi song. What can you tell me about this artist and the style of music that it is? You're vibing with Tosho, an artist all about lo-fi, hip-hop, and cozy instrumental beats. His music is super chill, think relaxed, nostalgic beats that riff on video game and anime themes. So a pretty cool new addition. Maybe you don't want to make decisions about what to listen to, just talk it out and let Spotify figure it out for you. All right, so this next one is something that we talked about in last week's video, but I do have an update on it. ByteDance recently released Seedream 5.0 Pro, its new multimodal image generator, and a great place to experiment with it is over on.
I know many of you think I'm AI. I'm not AI, but this is AI. Maybe in the future I'll get to work less. I'm gonna try to create myself in my outfit.
Art list. What makes Seedream so cool is that it doesn't just generate images from a description. You can give it up to 5 reference images and use them to control the characters, products, colors, composition, and overall style. It also has stronger reasoning, so it can understand more complicated design instructions and create things like detailed infographics, UI mockups, advertisements, and images with actually readable text. And Artlist makes the whole process much easier. Inside their AI toolkit, you just select Seedream 5.0 Pro. Upload your references, choose your aspect ratio and resolution,
morning, bro.
and then generate multiple
How you
options.
doing?
Then you can keep refining the image with new prompts or additional references without bouncing between a bunch of different platforms. Seedream 5.0 is available on Artlist right now, along with all the other top image and video models. So check it out at the link in the description. And thanks so much to Artlist for supporting my channel and sponsoring this section of today's video. We got a couple new large language models this week.
I haven't tried to well, I guess I have. I have talked to Chat GPT to get it to do stuff for me. But like that's just on my personal shit. I've never like talked to any of the bots yet to help me do work. But I'm not gonna lie, bro. We got a business subscription to Claude. And that shit is a fucking beast, bro. That shit do almost anything I tell it to do, man. I love working with Claude. It just builds my spreadsheets for me, organizes all my data information, analyzes my assessment sheets and scores them. You know, I've got a couple of different projects saved in the Claude where it just literally does my work for. And then my work isn't even that hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like right now, one big part of my job is just like case management, which is a bunch of notes and data taking. Especially like the assessments and stuff, it's just information on the prison population. Who are these people? What are the demographics, and how can we track these people? And the more we know about the population we're dealing with, the better we can like come up with solutions for shit. Or at least that's always the reasoning for tracking so much data for statistics, and plus to see if we're actually making a difference. Do the numbers change from year to year with whatever programs we're involved in? And if these gentlemen are taking our life skill classes and our cognitive behavioral therapy courses while they're incarcerated, how often do we see them back in there? Is this shit working? And so I get the numbers and the tracking and the data and all this shit. But man, it's a lot of fucking typing and forms and duplicate information, because this assessment has the same information that this form has, and this intake has the same information that this assessment has. And it's like, why the fuck? What the fuck? But now I got my Claude built in a way where, even these assessments are handwritten by the inmates. So it is a form, but it's like any kind of application or whatever survey or whatever you fill out. Sometimes it's you put a check mark or you circle, do you have XYZ, and you circle one, or you put a check in the box, or you give a brief description. Of like one of the first descriptions you have to write out at the top of the page is, what are you incarcerated for? And there's so many things that a person can be incarcerated for, they just can't put a list and you select one. So you really have to write it out. I'm incarcerated for weapons charges or simple possession or probation violation, or whatever. But you have to like write that part out. And then there's a question that says, what is your relationship like with your parents? And there's no way that you can just put well, there is if you narrow it all the way down, but they leave that blank, like a couple of lines, so you can actually write that out. But Claude can even read that shit, the handwritten portions with people with all different kinds of not great handwriting, and it gets it right. Like I haven't done it a lot. So I just in the past couple of weeks I've been tweaking it to get it to do what I want it to do. But like so far it's been 100%. I go behind it and check. I don't just like let it do a thing and I just file the shit away. So I'm literally just skipping the typing part. So if you do that for me, and then whatever you spit out, I'm gonna go through it and look at it and be like, oh, this should say this, and then I read what Claude does, and it's like, oh, this is great, actually. This is exactly what I would have typed up myself. And it's because also I've been typing up these shits for so long, I gave it like a dozen references of the ones that I've already done. So I gave it a blank template, and then I gave it dozens of examples of assessments that I've already completed. And I said, hey, every time I give you one of these prompts, I want you to make it look exactly like I do. Same format, same layout, same logo, same structure, same verbiage. Do it like me. And it doesn't. It just doesn't. Oh, definitely, bro. Like I said, you gotta review that shit though. You definitely need to check that shit yourself. I don't care what it spits out. Whatever that shit spits out, hey, you need to read that shit. Don't just take that shit as like, oh, this is perfect. I don't have to do anything. No. Check that shit for mistakes, or check it for language you don't want, or language you can soften, or things you want more emphasized. Because it's for like little teeny shit. When I updated some of my old lessons, I would say, this is my old lesson plan. I would like for you to update this with whatever new research and peer-reviewed evidence and evidence-based studies that you can find. Use citations, and keep the same format, essay form, blah 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 blah. And then it would make a very nice updated lesson for me. But it also, like, when you read it, it was like, in your previous lesson it said this, and now we think, and I'm like, whoa. Don't refer to the previous lessons. You don't have to do that. And so and that's not like a mistake, but it was just like a thing that I didn't want in there. You don't have to say, in your previous lesson, we talked about such and such. Like, yeah, but when I read over it, these assessments, they're foolproof. It took me like a couple prompts to get it right. But with the projects application on there, they say it's like it holds memory, and you can give it a certain set of files, images, or links or whatever to hold it in that specific memory for that project. And then you just keep building on it, and then eventually it just remembers everything you wanted to do. Because some of the context windows in normal conversations, you'll run out of tokens and it'll be like, oh, you need to start a new conversation. Like, nah. With the project manager, you give it all the information you wanted to remember, and every time you go to that project, it just does it. So now, only thing is, like I say, it's still a process. Not even that much, because it's a paper document, a physical paper document, and it's like 16 pages long. So I just gotta unstaple the assessment form and then scan all the pages to myself in an email. And then take that scanned PDF and then give that to the fucking AI. It's a wrap, bro. That's all I gotta do now. Yo, I might, you know what? I might actually record a process of me doing this. You know? Like, man, look, y'all not doing this at work. But the only thing now, I ain't gonna lie, yo, the other day I did that shit and did a couple of fucking Jones. Nah, I'm just sitting at my desk with literally nothing to do. Because it used to, like in the assessments, when you type them up, like I said, 16 pages worth of questions. But we don't put every item into our digital type of book. It starts out, name, birthday, current age, reason for incarceration, what day the assessment was taken, and it normally starts out, Mr. Such and Such reports to be currently incarcerated because of probation violation. Prior to incarceration, he was said to be employed full-time as a warehouse worker, living in an apartment by himself that he paid rent for. He reports to be single and never married. He has 2 kids, both under the age of 18, who are in the custody of their mother. He does own a vehicle and has a current PA driver's license. He has his GED. And what else is some other important shit? There's there's a couple more items on there. And then after that, you go into physical and medical history. Currently reports to have anxiety and ADHD. Has never been hospitalized for any mental issues. Has never been suicidal or attempted suicide. Then you go through all this shit, and then you go through the drug and alcohol, where it's like a million fucking drugs, and if you've ever tried it, you have to put it down. Try Pep Spice, try barbiturates, try benzos, try this, try that. Has a marijuana card. Started drinking alcohol at 16 on a weekly basis. This and that. Tried cocaine. Last reported use of cocaine was December 24th, 2022, and all your drug history on there. And then you go to the part of request of needs upon release, where you need GED, housing, your ID, you need transportation, you need work development skills, and all this shit. So this assessment is super long as fuck, and it's a lot of fucking questions. And depending on the person's situation, depends on how much of this shit you got to type. Because some people are just in the worst situation. They've been arrested multiple times, and you have to put, all their arrest things, and they've tried more drugs, and they have just more issues. And so the assessment can be really long. Or this can be somebody's first time being arrested for domestic dispute or some shit, and they've never been arrested before. They've never tried any drugs other than a beer. And their assessment will be super fucking short to type up. But sometimes it can take me about, anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes to type up an assessment. Some of the longer ones, man, some of these people just in a bad way. That shit be taking an hour to put down all that shit. Oh my God, you did this and that and this drug and that. Oh my God. You been in rehab this time. You done been committed 3 times. You done tried to commit suicide. 2 times, either OD or especially the OD part. Man, one person said they OD 3 times. Like, God damn, 3 times. Look, man, I've been hospitalized a couple. Oh shit, those sessions be long as hell. Those are not rare, but far in between. You'll come across a few people just like that, institutionalized, stuck in the system, can't get over their addictions. And I say you come across a lot of people that just made a bad mistake. A lot of the guys I deal with in there are on fucking drug charges and domestic charges. You're getting in fights with their girlfriends, or they not paying child support. Are they out here still thinking it's fucking 1996 that they can just sell drugs all willy nilly? Like nobody ain't watching and nobody ain't snitching. Man, look, shit done. I better get a job or make a job. Do some day trading. Go cut some grass. Put in an application online somewhere. They is really, really trying to kill the drug game. And I was talking about the war on drugs in that last song. You know, I don't think they wanted the war on drugs to actually work. I don't think they want the war on drugs to work now. I don't think they want a lot of shit right now, but they can't help but allow it to happen because of the technology. I don't think they want cures for cancer and all this shit, but the technology is so big and so fast and everybody knows about it that they can't hide it and deny it anymore. They can't hide it or deny it anymore, so they gotta let some shit pass. Could you actually not completely end the war on drugs, but have way more control over substance use in this country? Absolutely. But it's such a lucrative business and the government makes money off of it, they don't want to end it. But now with as much surveillance systems and tracking systems and younger people just not being outside as much as they used to be and committing less crimes, you know what I'm saying? They can't help but admit that the shit is dropping back. And I think the fentanyl thing was engineered. All these epidemics be engineered, man. It's coming from China. How? I mean, it has to come through customs. It's from Mexico. It's coming through customs. These evil Mexicans. These evil Chinese. How is it getting in the country, bro? All this shit is by design. AI shit, so easy. I'm sitting there on goddamn on Instagram. AI just thinking away. Like I said, what used to take me 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Man, that shit do that shit in like 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes. And my thing too is I've even said this in one of my 6-month self-assessments. What are some things you can improve? I say if I do have some downtime at my desk, I'll normally log on to a typing website and just do some typing games because I feel like the faster I can type, the more work I can get done, and the more proficient I can be with my notation and my documentation. If I can just type a little faster, so I always try to practice that, and that's one thing I think that I can improve is my typing speed. And so, like I said, that wasn't last, maybe the year before last I said that, but something that I always acknowledge. I'm not a fast typer. Period. I'm not like a click 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 person either, but still I can't type that fast. But now it's just like I'm gonna type it off, bro. I gotta type shit. Now I also feel like the only reason I was getting better is because I was typing more and playing those games. And now I know for a fact if I don't type at all, when I do have to type, I'm gonna be super slow again. That shit just gonna slow right back down. Sorry for you. I say it's not like I was ever a great typer anyway. I do remember though in middle school, we did have a computer class. Typing was a part of it. Our computer class. Then I say we're the internet generation. They really focused like heavy on us knowing how to type, work the computers and shit. Internet kids. Now you got the pandemic kids and the AI kids. These motherfuckers way different from us, bro. These motherfuckers feral. AI kids, watch. Motherfucker born right now, yo. In 10 years, watch the 10-year-olds. See how different these motherfuckers be, yo. I think these little kids weird and strange. The AI kids gonna have AI robot best friends, bro. We was virgin on that shit back in the 90s with the Tamagotchis and all the little digital pets that you had to feed and make sure they went to sleep and played with and showed attention to. Games like The Sims. And these kids just gonna have real little AI robots following them around. They Tamagotchi gonna be big as shit.
Out of Thinking Machines Labs. Now, if you're not familiar with Thinking Machines, well, it was founded by Mira Murati, who used to be the CTO over at OpenAI. Back when Sam Altman got fired for like a weekend, she actually was the CEO for like 24 hours. Well, eventually she left OpenAI to start Thinking Machine Labs. They've shown off some really cool demos of some models, and finally, this is the first model they put out there for the public. and it's actually an open weight model. So this is one that you can actually download and fine tune and run it on the cloud. If you have a strong enough computer, run it on your computer. But when we look at the benchmarks, it's not really like a super standout model. It's a model that's really good for being an open weight model. But other than that, all of these models are better than it. GLM 5.2 is also an open weight model, but when it comes to design, it's beating out this new Inkling model by, a couple models. But they do show that it could generate a pretty decent looking snake game. But we can see this is comparing it to all the other open weight models with a few of the closed weight models over here. GLM 5.2 is probably the best open weight model still, because we can see in reasoning, GLM 5.2 pretty much beats it out on every single one of these benchmarks. Agentic coding, GLM 5.2 beats it out on every benchmark. Apparently it's a little bit more factual than GLM, but it's just, a decent open model. Not state of the art for open models, but just decent. You can play with it and test it for free over on this website called Tinker here. They have a section called Playground where you can come up here, select the model Inkling, and it's very similar to the OpenAI Playground. Let's just have it show me some beautiful code. It's decently fast, and here's the code output that it wrote, and it also explains why it was beautiful and how it's elegant and not as clever, I guess. And here's the pricing if you're using it through their API if you're interested. Now, it is a 952 billion parameter model with an almost 2 terabyte file size, so I would say most people aren't going to be running it on their own, consumer grade GPUs. This is one you're going to be using in the cloud most likely. So if you're going to have to use it in the cloud anyway, you're probably going to pick one of the stronger models right now. I don't know. If you're curious about how it performed on Busey Bench here, well, yeah, that's what things Gary Busey looks like.
I just created a $47 ebook in 3 minutes flat using AI. Time me while I do it again. Already in Designer, interface is loading. Watch how fast this is. Clicking Word Genie. No delays, no complexity. Just it.
I don't think that model's hitting the top of the leaderboard anytime real soon. Then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we got this model called Bonsai 27B from Prism ML. And this one's a 1-bit model, meaning that it's been super compressed down so that it can actually run on a phone. The model itself is about 4 gigabytes, but it's got 27 billion parameters, which is pretty much the largest model you're going to be running on a phone. This isn't going to be the most intelligent model you've ever used, but it'll probably give you decent quick answers on things. I tried to get it to write code for me, and it just couldn't do it. I tried to run it through Busey Bench, and it flat out worked for 20 minutes and never actually ended up generating an SVG. And I ran it 3 times and got the same result. So it's not going to be a coding agent for you. You can, however, demo it over on Hugging Face. Click the demo in the article, and then jump to Hugging Face, and then you can load the model here. And we can see it says the entire 27 billion parameter model runs entirely on your device. No data ever leaves your machine. Let's get it to generate a logic puzzle here. And it's actually really fast, 94 tokens per second, which is funny because it basically asks itself its own logic problem and then solve the logic problem that it asks itself. You have 3 boxes labeled apple, oranges, and mixed. Every label is wrong. You may take 1 fruit from 1 box without looking inside. How can you correctly relabel all 3 boxes? Now, I want to see if this is actually running. So if I click generate code, Google Chrome Helper, it's not showing any memory. So I don't know if this is actually running locally or not. I can't tell. I don't think this is actually running locally. When asking it to write code, this is what it gave me. I mean, it doesn't look amazing. Again, it's a small, very heavily compressed, quantized model, but it's designed to be able to run on your phone. So this is probably not going to be your go-to if you are running on a desktop. We got another AI model this week out of Moonshot AI called Kimi K3. And this is a model that, well, they haven't opened it yet, but they did say they were going to open the weights this month to this model. And when they do, it looks like it will be the most capable open weight model there is. So if we look at some of the benchmarks here, on the coding benchmark, DeepSuite, which is actually a really solid software engineering benchmark, we can see that it scores just behind 5.6 Sol and Fable in that benchmark, but it outperforms GPT 5.5, Opus 4.8, and GLM 5.2. And GLM 5.2 is definitely the leader right now in open weight models. On Terminal Bench, it actually outperforms Fable 5. And this seems to be a theme with a lot of the benchmarks for this model, is that, well, it's right up there with Fable 5 and 5.6, and it beats out 4.8 from Opus and GLM 5.2 and GPT 5.5, and pretty much all of the best models outside of the 5.6 Fable model, it's kicking their butt, and this is going to be a model that's open weight. This is the first open model to reach 2.8 trillion parameters. So not one you're probably going to be running on your local computer anytime soon, but if you wanted to run it on like a cloud GPU and fine tune it once they open the weights, you'll be able to do that with this model. Now, this is a model that came out since I've been here in San Francisco for OpenSauce, so I haven't actually had the opportunity to play with it yet. I haven't even benchmarked it on BusyBench yet, but definitely stay tuned for that. Maybe next week's news video will take an even deeper dive into Kini K3. All right, I have a handful more things I want to share with you, but nothing I really need to go too deep on, so let's jump into a rapid fire. So this week, Grok Build was open sourced. This is SpaceX AI's coding agent and terminal user interface. They're open sourcing it so that people can build off of it, but also explore what it's capable of. And sure enough, here it is on GitHub, where you can sort of fork it or do whatever you want with it. Grok rolled out a new feature this week. They added automations into Grok. Now, this is something that both the Claude app and the OpenAI ChatGPT Codex, whatever you want to call it now, all had access to, where you can basically tell it on a certain schedule, run this task. A lot of people are calling these loops. You can now do more of those loop type things inside of Grok with these automations. So you can have triggers like daily triggers, or even triggers that do things like watch your inbox. And when you receive an incoming mail, it will fire a trigger based on seeing that incoming mail. So if the Grok harness is your preferred go-to harness, well, you now have this option as well. So ChatGPT improved their search functionality inside of the app on web, iOS, and Android. So basically, if you've had any conversations with ChatGPT in the past and you want to be able to pull up that conversation again, they've really improved the ability to search. So from the sidebar, you can now search chats, projects, images, and documents in one place, and you can use filters to further narrow your results. It seemingly is going to get a lot easier now to find exactly what you're looking for among everything you've done within ChatGPT. Claude got the ability to access your 1Password credentials now, which I think is pretty cool. Also a little bit scary, because if you have bank account details and stuff like that in there, now Claude has access to it. So probably not an issue right now, but you don't want it to go purchase stuff on your behalf because it has your bank details and credit card details. I don't think it'll do that yet. What makes it really cool is if you ask it to go do something for you that requires it to log into a website, it doesn't need to manually ask you to go and log in for it. It can just use your 1Password and then log in for you, which I think will be pretty handy, given they go over the top with security and make sure it doesn't log into stuff that it shouldn't be logging into. Now, the Claude agent can't actually see the credentials, so it'll use 1Password and log in, but none of those passwords are actually going to get sent back to Claude or be trained on or anything like that. And if you've ever wanted your AI agent like OpenClaw or Hermes or Codex or any of them really to order your DoorDash for you, well, now DoorDash has a CLI, a command line interface, that you can give access to any of your preferred sort of agent or AI harness. You can now order DoorDash directly from your agent, search stores, find the best deals, checkout, and more. Apparently it's on waitlist for US and Canada, so not totally rolled out yet, but pretty soon you'll be able to go to your OpenClaw and say, hey, order me a burrito. This is an update to a story from last week where I showed you that Meta was allowing you to tag anybody on Instagram and it will generate images of them. Well, there was a ton of backlash from creators and from actors and just from tons of different people. And well, this feature didn't even last a week. And Meta went and just rolled it back. So now you can't do that anymore. The newest version of Siri has started to roll out now. And so far, the feedback on it has been pretty good. One of the coolest features is that you're actually going to get AI on your Apple Watch if you wear an Apple Watch now, too. Now, Siri has been on your Apple Watch since the beginning, but, who uses Siri on their Apple Watch? But now that it's got the AI features built into it, better AI features. Supposedly, it's really useful now. Not something I've had the opportunity to test yet, but again, most of what I've heard about the new Siri, people have really been liking it. Anthropic introduced Claude for teachers. So if you're a verified K through 12 educator in the US, you get free access to premium Claude capabilities, a library of teaching skills, and a direct connection to evidence-based curricula. So hey, if you're a teacher, go use that. Claude's expensive. Google's rolling out some new features because they're celebrating 25 years of visual search and innovation. They have this cool blog post here where they sort of show a timeline of Google Images and how it's evolved. But they're rolling out some new features soon where Google Images is going to look more like Pinterest. It's going to sort of learn what you save and what sort of images you're looking for and suggest images directly to you. They're also rolling out the ability to create new images right in search. So you just go to google.com and prompt an image to generate, and you'll be able to do it straight from the regular website now. Well, not now, but coming soon. Notebook LM is getting a rebrand. It's now going to be called Gemini Notebook, which, everybody kind of knows the name Notebook LM at this point and likes it as a tool. So changing the name might confuse some people for a while, but still the same product that everybody loves. It's just now called Gemini Notebook. So yeah, there's that. OpenAI finally launched their hardware. The new hardware is a keypad for Codex. It's a collaboration with the company Work Louder. So basically, I think Work Louder made it, and OpenAI threw their branding on it and sort of dialed it in for Codex. If you head over to openai.com/supply, this is like the OpenAI store where you can buy stuff directly from OpenAI. Click on shop, and you can see the Codex Creator Micro is here and available for sale for $230. I do have one on order, so I'll let you know what I think about it once it arrives. But this is what it looks like. A little keyboard specifically dialed in for using Codex. I ordered the clicky version, and as soon as it arrives, I'll give you my thoughts on it. But apparently OpenAI is maybe working on a new device that's like a screenless smart speaker, kind of like an Amazon Alexa sort of thing. This is more like in the rumor realm than it is actually confirmed. But apparently OpenAI is developing a mobile screen-free smart speaker to serve as a human-like AI companion that can control smart home appliances and tap into the capabilities of OpenAI's ChatGPT. This also comes as OpenAI just got caught up in another lawsuit against Apple, where Apple is suing them, basically saying that people that used to work at Apple moved to OpenAI and brought like trade secrets and hardware examples with them. OpenAI claims that that's all unfounded and not true, but another legal battle with the AI companies that we'll watch and see how it plays out. But some of the rumors are that maybe this new device has some ideas that might have come from Apple originally, but who knows? We'll see how it plays out. I'm not going to speculate. This is all still just rumors about what's coming out anyway. Nothing actually confirmed by OpenAI. New York became the first state to enact a data center moratorium. So there's going to be no new hyperscale data centers set up in New York for up to a year. The order blocks new environmental permits for data centers over 50 megawatts, which the governor's office says will give the state time to come up with the regulations needed to protect residents from rising energy prices and environmental impact. We'll see if other states follow suit with this. Speaking of data centers, I saw this article on The Verge called "Would you host part of an AI data center in your home?"
Wait a minute. They let the robots fly? That shit says fight. Oh, nah. But if they're official, they're first officially sponsored. Okay. Because you've been seeing they've been putting them in the ring for a minute, bro. Since last year, you've been seeing the little robots in the ring bouncing around, flailing around, trying to punch each other. But not, like you say, officially sponsored with some money behind it. That's why I already said, motherfuckers gonna be betting on that shit, yo. It's gonna be big business. What was that movie, Real Steel? With Hugh Jackman? Wolverine, he was in there. Real Steel. It was like you control robot or whatever. Bro, we already at that time frame. That shit crazy. But they not putting their best shit out there. Not their military shit. They trying to show consumer grade stuff. Not the shit with the invisibility, cloak, stealth. abilities. The waterproof aquatic shit. It can fly. But I seen the one drone, this shit got wheels and legs, bro. That shit stand up and walk towards you, then crouch down and start rolling like a dog robot. Like that. If you would make that shit go into the water. Real Steel with Hugh Jackman. I think that was the name of it. But it was basically that robot boxing.
Made my family use a device that makes you hallucinate and see visions. This is how it reacted. This device is
第一个高扫踢到了对方的头部，证明是不会又晕了吗？哦，你在水平衡，能快速起身吗？没有任何的问题。
核心是稳住了啊！
是的，是的。
刚刚是踢到了对方，拿到了1分，然后现在我们看宋律师呢也是跃跃欲试啊，先熟悉一下这个感觉。OK， 这边你看这边。
Yo, this shit do look crazy, bro.
当然一个左拳，掌拳已经是到位了。
哇，动流是非常灵活啊！
这是左步上的优势啊，去拿到分数了。对，用对对对，没错，调整一下，OK， 又是一个市场的语境氛围上的。
You motherfucker got a dance move built into that shit. Oh my god, that's crazy. Yo. Ain't no way in hell, bro. Oh shit. Yo, did you watch any? Bro. Why? Bro, I was about to say your fucking comment just now. When the way they hop up, that shit don't even look right, dude. Like, yo, why they get up like that? That shit is creepy as shit, yo. Bro, yeah, the way they get up is like, how can you describe it? It's so unnatural, bro. It's like they're falling in reverse. Wait a minute. How can I explain that shit? No, no move like that, man. Like, yeah, yeah. The way they get up, bro. I swear to God, I was gonna say that shit, dude. He already said it. Yeah, it's the worst. It's like, why? Yeah, that shit is. It looked like it's moving in reverse or something. I don't know. Like you rewinded the tape the way it got up. That's very, very weird. But then I don't know. What if the programmers didn't even program that? They just told the robot, "Hey, get up as fast as you can," and that's the way the robot decided. This is the fastest way I can get from this position to a standing position. Is that little weird ass fucking motion? Now they're remote control. I think they got pilots. I don't think they're autonomous yet. Well, if it didn't have a pilot, I don't want to go to that show. I'm not going to a fucking robot boxing match and the robots are just doing their own thing by themselves. I'm good. Like you say, I'm jumping in the crowd throwing haymakers. I'm good on that, bro. Who's controlling this? Nobody's controlling it? Nope. Oh, I don't want to see that. I'll watch it on YouTube. I should need a motherfucking pilot. It's gonna be big money The thing too, like these robots are doing spinning roundhouse kicks, a spinning roundhouse. And how much they gotta weigh at least 100 pounds, 120 pounds. And this shit is metal and plastic and shit. So if you're unarmed and this thing is coming at you, and you try to punch this, and you try to punch this shit, bro, you gonna hurt your hand. And that shit punch you, and you get 120 pounds of metal and plastic doing a roundhouse kick at your head. Yo. I don't think that's gonna end well. Motherfucking Terminators, bro. You're here. If they weren't ready for it, bro, you know, hey. I'm telling you, bro. If you unarmed and this thing come at you and it hits you the right way, bro, that shit gonna knock you the fuck out, dog. Because these things is throwing them hands. Yo, that spinning roundhouse kick is fucking killing me. Bro, that shit is killing me, bro. What the fuck? Yeah, nah, you not, nah, that shit gonna knock you out.
Baseball. This
Show for sure.
I'm definitely white trash. I'm going to tell y'all what I think is the single most white trash thing about me. This is a 100% true story. So my parents got divorced when I was 7, and I know you're like, yeah, we figured. Can't believe they were married at all. Yeah, they were. They got divorced back then, early 90s, rural Tennessee. Parents get divorced. Mama just kind of got custody by default. That's just how it worked, you know. So my mom got custody of us, but my dad was like, okay, but they're going to live with me, though. And the judge was just like, ain't you got a Camaro to work on or something? So just let her have them, bro. Right, but we lived with my dad, and because we lived with my dad, he didn't pay her any child support because in his eyes, that was bullshit. And apparently, that was bullshit is not a formally recognized legal defense for not paying child support, right? You can't just plead that's some bullshit, as it turns out. So my dad accumulated all this debt to the state over the course of his life. When he dies years back, I had to reconcile all that, which I didn't know was a thing, but it is in the right circumstances. For example, if you owe money to the state, it's like everything with money works the same way, really. It's like, you know how like if you got a lot of money in the bank will give you more money for having all that money in the bank. But if you ain't got no money in the bank will charge you money for not having no money in the bank, right? It's like everything works that way with money, including inheritance. It's like if you're rich and your parent dies, you're sad, but you got a new lake house or the throne of England or whatever. Like there's upsides to it. You know, but if you're poor and your parent dies, you're poor plus they're poor. And I'm generationally poor, dude. I come from no money. So I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. My friends see this. They become concerned. They're like, damn, man, who you owe money to? It's like, I got to pay fucking child support, man. They're like, heard that, but I thought you had both your kids. No, not on them, on me. I'm so white trash, I got to pay my own child support. And the worst part is I can't stand this little motherfucker. Always laying around my house, eating up my food, starting fights with my wife, talking shit about me in my own head. He sucks. So I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, and I finally get a call from the state of Tennessee one day. They're being very helpful. They're like, is there anything we can do to help? Like, are there any assets you can liquidate? I was like, what? They're like, is there any shit you can sell? I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, well, there's the house I grew up in where my mama still lives. And they're like, that's perfect. So what you do is you sell that house, use the proceeds to pay us off, do with the rest as you see fit. And it all kind of clicked for me in that moment. I was like, so you're telling me that I need to sell the house I grew up in where my mama still lives so I can pay y'all my own child support? And she was like, can we call you back? And I got a call a couple hours later from her manager, and he was like, yeah, listen, don't worry about that. We wiped all it out. We took care of it. And that's the first time in my life that I was like, damn, maybe I am white.
Damn.
I've had to reckon with something recently. It's nothing new for me. I come from a reckoning people. I love to reckon. But I had to reckon with something in particular. I may have been unfair to a certain class of people, you know, over the years, because I made a lot of fun of like conspiracy theorists. I could be dumb enough to believe some shit like that. It might be a little hypocritical of me because it turns out I'm really, really, really into all this alien shit that's been going on. We're living in a golden age of alien shit, y'all. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, congratulations on your stable life and working brain and all that. That's good. Happy for you. But it's a golden age of alien stuff, and I didn't realize there was anything remotely problematic or weird about that. I'd be on Twitter looking for alien shit. I started noticing whenever I saw somebody sharing alien stuff, I clicked that guy's profile. His bio would be like, husband, father, patriot, the earth is flat, release your crack and the truth shall set you free. And I was like, well, that's weird. I don't know why it can't be reputable journalistic sources for my alien news. I don't know why it's always some fringe lunatic. That's odd. Right, I didn't put it together for an embarrassingly long time. I remember when it finally clicked for me. I was on Twitter looking for alien stuff. I saw this guy go on a big, long video tirade about alien shit, and I was so into it. He was like, yeah, the government don't want the common man to know the truth about this shit. And I was like, that's right, brother, they don't. Keep going. He was like, just like they don't want you to know the truth about the global cabal of vampiric pedophiles harvesting adrenochrome from the blood of the innocent. I was like, well, I don't think that's exactly the same thing. Because, see, that is clearly some made up bullshit that no rational adult would ever believe to be true. And this is, oh no. I'm a fucking wingnut. Right? I don't know why I'm so into alien stuff. I think maybe it's a redneck thing. There is some weird chemistry. There's some weird connection with rednecks and aliens. There always has been. If you think about anybody ever seen on the news talking about getting abducted and probed, like it's never a heart surgeon, you know. It's always my Uncle Bubbles, man. Every time.
Uncle Bubbles.
It's always Randy Quaid from Independence Day. Every time, that's who it is. They only take rednecks, evidently. I mean, really, rednecks should hate these motherfuckers because they've been profiling us like the police profile black dudes for generations. They have goddamn smart-ass alien walks up like, do you know why I abducted you this evening? I don't know, maybe because I'm driving a beat-up Chevy with an Earnhardt sticker. It's fucking bullshit, man. Third time this month, god damn. But it's okay. I'm trying to find the silver lining in everything, and I'll tell you what that says to me. That says to me that rednecks evidently have among the sweetest, most choice anuses you can find.
What the fuck?
Anywhere. Anywhere. Think about it. These little great bastards could be probing any backside on God's green earth, nay, the cosmos. But they keep
Nay,
coming back
the
for
cosmos.
Billy Brown now. What's that tell you?
Yeah,
It's brand loyalty, man.
that's crazy.
There's got to be a reason for that. I'm just saying. So yeah, next time somebody's like, "Oh, black guys, they got big dicks." Yeah, well, rednecks got the juiciest buttholes in the Milky Way.
That's wow, bro.
What now? My mama love that joke.
That's crazy.
That was Mama's favorite joke.
That's wow. It was probably I love that joke. You got the Jesus.
I don't know. So maybe it's where I grew up, you know. Maybe it's a rural thing specifically, you know, because it does have a big impact on you growing up in the middle of nowhere. Like, dude, I grew up in rural America in the 90s, and from what I can tell, that's kind of like growing up in regular America in the 70s, you know. Like I hear people grew up in the 70s talk about it, and they're like, "Oh, our parents didn't care. We rode on the hood of the car. Our favorite hobbies was trying to kill each other with darts in the yard and diving into rock quarries and shit." And I'm like, I mean, we had Nickelodeon, but other than that, yeah, same thing. Right? But it's not surprising, you know, if you spend time on the coast, they have a very low opinion of the red states or the southern states out there. You know, they think the whole South is just crazy racist. And I mean, yeah, sure. Sure, but we're not the only ones. Like, racism's an American problem. That's what bothers me about it. You know, like I'll talk to people in LA sometimes. I know I'm from the South. They want to know. They're like, "You're from there. Be honest. That type of institutional racism. Tell us about that." I'm like, "Why are you asking me about it when the LAPD is right there?" Like LA's got a totally clean slate racially. I'm sorry, I forgot. The NWA stood for nice, we're appreciated. You remember Ice Cube and all their album covers? Just, things are great out here. Now, LA's got their own shit to worry about racially speaking, and it's not all ancient history either. It still crops up sometimes. Like last year, there was this LA City Councilwoman. She got caught on tape just putting on a racism clinic for the whole world to see. And dude, it was wild. She was racist against like 8, 9 different types of people. Like there was Alabama papaws taking notes during this shit. They were like, "Is that a new slur? Write that down." She made me realize something I never thought of before, which is like, yes, the South has more racist and more racism, generally speaking, but I'm now convinced that if racism was a sport, in a one-on-one, an LA racist could absolutely hang with an Alabama racist because of the versatility of their game. You know what I mean? They got more tools in their bag. You know, like Alabama racists, they're real solid in the fundamentals. You know, like black people, Mexicans, the gays. When it comes to that, they'll sit in the pocket, they'll find the rhythm, they can go all day long, right? They're lethal. Most of them never even met a Jewish person, but they've heard enough to be dangerous, right? They got a puncher's chance if that comes up. But beyond that, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? This lady was racist against Armenians. Papa's ain't got the skill set for that. Papa's can't spell Armenian, man. I'm just saying, if there's a heavyweight championship racism battle, and Papa will be in the corner sitting on a stool, shaking his head, just like she throwing shit at me I've never seen before, man. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. It's a wild time in this country. Things are very divided. Things are weird right now. It makes it hard to be optimistic about things. People ask me that question all the time. They're like, how do you have any kind of optimism considering the world we live in? And for a long time, I didn't have any real answer for them. For a long time, I was just like, get drunker. I don't know. It's bad. But now recently, thanks to my wife, I have discovered an answer to that question. I'm not saying y'all are going to like this answer, but I do have an answer to that question. I now feel if you want to feel generally positive about the current state of the United States of America on a global cultural scale, what you need to do is you need to watch 90 Day Fiance on TLC because you watch that shit and you realize America must be doing something right, dude. Because people all around this world are lining up, doing whatever it takes, throwing it all the way just for the chance to make it somewhere in the Midwest. They don't give a fuck where they end up. They just want, they'll do anything, up to and including marrying the biggest jabroni in the state of Ohio, gladly. They'll interview this guy out there. He's like, yeah, my name's Jason. I'm a 35-year-old dodgeball coach. And ever since my mom kicked me out, I've been looking for Miss Right, you know, like the type of woman that knows how to load the dishwasher and keep her mouth shut during Buckeyes games, that type of thing, right? And you're listening like, I don't like your chances, Jason. You don't seem like much of a catch to me. Then they cut to some beautiful girl in Estonia or somewhere like that, just like, Jason is man of my dreams. I often fantasize about being with him and eating hamburger helper off his paper plate. In the Shangri-La on his Dayton, Ohio. Dying to get over here. Then they get over here and their eyes are filled with wonder. You know, like Jason takes that same girl to like an Olive Garden in a Dayton strip mall or something. And she's just sitting there like, oh, this spaghetti for one person? It's like, fuck yeah, that's how we do, goddammit. Land of plenty, baby, USA. I don't know, it makes me feel better. Makes me feel worse at the same time, but it also makes me feel better. Argument. There's vegans out there trying to make that argument in an effort to illustrate to people how fucked up it is that we eat animals at all. They're trying to draw this parallel, right? And I know what they're trying to do, but I also know how America works. So I know they think Americans going to see that argument and be like, damn, they're right. We shouldn't be eating them. But I know Americans going to hear that argument and be like, damn, they're right. We should be fucking them. Tenderize my beef, baby. Why not? We gonna eat them anyway. Might as well fuck them first. What a missed opportunity this has been. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Purple-headed weirdo. Speaking of purple-headed weirdos, I was in Portland, Oregon recently too, and it's Portland's interesting for a whole other reason. I feel like Portland is kind of a snapshot of the way the far right looks at the far left in general in this country, and it's an interesting combination of stereotypes that they hold for these people. Like Everybody in my hometown thinks Portland is just a bunch of emaciated baristas with a handlebar mustache, you know. And I tell them it's ridiculous. Portland's a vast metropolis made up of an eclectic array of all different types of mustaches. Like it's not just handlebar, but they both think it's like hipster Portlandia shit, but also that it's Fallujah for socialists, you know. Like that's where the most hardcore Antifa super commandos are garrisoned at, right? And that's a weird combination of stereotypes to hold for the same people. It's like they think everybody in Portland is getting dressed up as a Victorian era haberdasher, right? To go set City Hall on fire. And then they make fun of them for that. They act like that's a point of ridicule. I'm like, dude, I don't know about you, but I feel like if I was in the middle of a full-scale riot and all of a sudden a chimney sweep looking some bitch emerged from the smoke bomb haze on top of one of them big front wheel bicycles, like, I wouldn't fuck with that guy. That's how you get choked out with a pocket watch chain.
Damn.
Whimsical anarchy?
Whimsical and anarchy.
But they both condescend to the far left for being limp-wristed soy boys, but they're terrified of them at the same time. That's a weird dynamic. You know, it's like their general outlook on them is like, check out this little pussy. Oh shit, is he coming over here? No, I love Sprouts on level, please don't make me gay. It's a weird thing to believe, you know. Well, people believe all kinds of weird shit right now. Like on a related note, I feel like white supremacy's been having a moment in this country the past few years. White supremacy's wild to me for a few reasons. First of all, I feel like every white supremacist I've ever seen is pretty much the least supreme looking motherfucker. Like I've never seen an avowed white supremacist and thought to myself, behold, the pinnacle of man. Like it's not a bunch of Hemsworths walking around with swastika tattoos, you know? It's not. Your average white supremacist walks in looking like Busted Magazine's fuck up of the year 2005. Walks in with a tattoo on his neck of a skull that's got more teeth than he does. Walks in looking like he's about to invent a whole new type of hepatitis, ain't even thought up yet. Looking like that, talking about supremacy, I think that's wild. I also think it's wild to keep believing in supremacy considering all the L's they've taken over the course of this country's history, you know? Like, I know it's easy to look around right now and feel like they're doing pretty okay, but really they've mostly lost every major battle they fought up until this point, and they keep talking about supremacy. Like, I feel like the mood of their meetings had to get weirder and sadder over the years, you know? Like, they came into the meeting in 1865, like, okay, so they freed all the slaves. Big whoop. Look, they still can't marry our women. They still can't go to our schools. Hey, how's that ever going to change, guys? It ain't like women can vote. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. 1965, they come into the meeting like, okay, so they can drink from our water fountains now, so we can't legally harass them just for coming into the same diner anymore. But look, there's got to be something we can do to legally harass these people still. Come on, Jimmy, Johnny, Lee, Roy, Leroy, Ricky, Randy, Billy, Bobby, Mike, Steve.
Wait.
Steve, Stuart, Stanley, Danny, David. You guys are cops. Put your hands together.
Mike.
We can figure this out. All right, it's not like one of them's the president. 2008, they come in kicking shit over like, okay, all right, this is a tough pill to swallow. I'm not gonna lie. Look, we gotta focus on the positives, guys. Like, hey, it's not like they're gonna start taking the Confederate flag down. All right. They're not gonna start pulling down the statues or renaming the streets or nothing like that. And hey, gay people still can't get married. That's something, right? Some guy in the back's like, aren't some gay guys white men? Shouldn't they be supreme too? It's like, no, Bobby, they don't count. You know that. Listen, we gotta focus on the positives, guys. Like, hey, there's still no blacks in country music. Same guy in the back's like, what about Darius? Shut the fuck up, Bobby. Prefer cats, right? That's all it is. I just like cats. I love cats. And people get weird about that. They do. Like you ever had a hardcore dog lover ask you, "Oh, do you love dogs?" You're like, "Oh, I'm kind of more of a cat person." You might as well be wearing a Michael Vick jersey, bro. They fucking, all the trust and joy drains out of their face. They're shielding their kids from it. Get away from me now. They want nothing to do with you. They think that makes you a bad person automatically. If you like, y'all don't think there's any bad people that also love dogs? Statistically, they have to exist somewhere in the world. There's got to be a ruthless cartel drug lord who's utterly devoted to his 3 Doberman pinchers, right? And he feels the same way about them as you do, little Buffy to Bichon Frise. He feels the same way. When those dogs tear a rival drug dealer limb from limb, spreading gore and viscera all over the room,
Gore
when
and
they do that,
viscera.
this guy's like, "Who's a good boy?" The dog's sitting there with a severed hand in his mouth, like, "Is it me? I hope it's me." Has to be a thing. Some of y'all don't buy that. Some of y'all think that's hypothetical. That's not hypothetical. That's historical. It is. You know who loved dogs? Hitler. So hey, if you don't believe me, ask Kanye. He'll tell you. He knows. It's true. It's true. Adored his German Shepherd. Still somehow not the best guy. I'm just saying, don't get me wrong, you should love your dog. Of course you should. I just feel like some dog people, they put dogs above anything and anybody else, including other people. It gets extreme sometimes. Like the other night, I was taking my trash out at my house. I'm walking down the driveway with my trash bins, and my Jeep is blocking the other end of the sidewalk. I get to the end of it. I almost bump into my neighbor who's walking his Great Dane. We didn't know each other were there. When this happens, the dog loses his shit, like, and he's like struggling to hold it back. He's like, "Well, look, you startled him, you startled him." I was like, "Oh, did I?" Did I startle the baby? No, you're right. That's my fault. It's my fault. Should have got the express written permission of you and Scooby Doo over here before I walk down my own goddamn driveway. That's on me. No, you're right. You're right, dude. Dog people are hardcore, and I don't know why don't it dog. Sometimes I'll see a dog and he's wearing one of those little outfits where it looks like his head is on top of the tiny human body, so he's got little arms and legs flopping and stuff, and his tongue's out like. And I just see that, and I'm like, have some fucking self-respect, man. What are you doing? You used to be a wolf, bro. Don't let them do that shit to you. Right, but dogs do whatever the fuck a human says gladly, right? But a cat, though, you go up to a cat, and you're like, "Hey, so I was thinking if you wanted to roll over and play dead or do some kind of trick like that, you know, I'd give you one of these little fishy treats." And the cat's just like, "Oh yeah, you will, huh? Okay, yeah. How about I show you my asshole, Gary?" How's that for a trick? Would you like that? Who the fuck do you think you are? No, you know what? I got a better idea. How about this? How about you put some more food in my bowl and maybe I won't fuck your couch up tonight? How's that sound? Tell me to roll over this motherfucker. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because of where I'm from. Like I said, rural Tennessee in the 90s back then, dogs didn't have the same cachet they have today. And then I had dogs growing up. I had a bunch of dogs. The way that used to work was you'd have a dog, something horrific would befall that dog. Now it's time to get a new dog, which back then, getting a new dog consisted of getting in the truck and riding around until you saw a box of dogs in a dollar store parking lot or something. Now you got a new dog. It was a different world. It was a very different world. It was a field that sounds like a very dumb world, but sometimes I think that our current world today might be even dumber, you know, because like we're living in a very dumb time and place. This country comes out with new dumb shit every other day. You can't even keep up with it all, right? Some people think that means we're getting dumber as a species, like we're de-evolving. And I don't know if I believe that, not because I think we're smart today. I just don't know if I think we're dumber than people used to be. Because like, do y'all know how dumb people used to be? A lot. They were a whole lot dumb, y'all. They were like, I know we had plenty of dumb shit when COVID came out. I know we did. But dude, if COVID had come out 250 years ago, people would have been running around like, he's got witches in his lungs. Quick, cast some ashes onto the nearest flame so that the evil spirits might not gain purchase. I don't think we're dumber than them. Which means we're not getting dumber overall, dude. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I wish we were. Sometimes I think it'd be great to be dumb. I do. You know why? Because dumb people are confident, man. They are. They are. Dumb people got it all figured out. You're like, what we dumb people have figured out? Everything. Everything. You don't believe me? That's the dumbest motherfucker you know. All right? Picture him in your head right now, the dumbest motherfucker you know. I guarantee you that some bitch got it all figured out, dude. They all do. All of them. They don't have existential crises. They don't lie awake at night staring at the ceiling like, am I blaming the Jews enough? You know, they don't do that. No doubt about that. They don't have that. Don't be left out. Smart people
Yo.
are racked
The way
with
he
doubt
slammed
every
that shit in
day.
there.
Smart people like, I think I'm going about this the right way. What if I'm wrong though? What if there's information I don't yet have? What if there's factors I've not yet considered? What if I'm wrong about this? Dumb people are just like, life's a butthole, baby. Fuck it. And I'm jealous of that, man. And I think most smart people are jealous of that if they're honest with themselves. Why do you think this shit's so popular with smart people? Drug and alcohol abuse is more prevalent statistically among the more intelligent members of society. Why do you think that is? Because this shit's just liquid stupidity and we're all chasing that dipshit dragon, baby.
Is opening people's eyes because the average rent in China is around $275. 91% of millennials own their own home in China.
Yep.
But you had the freedom not to own anything in the United States. Isn't that great?
Right. This just broke this week. Nobody can afford a house in America. And that was starting to happen in China too.
Yeah.
So Xi gave a speech back in 2017. Housing should be for living in, not for speculation. And they literally made it government policy to bring down the price of housing, to collapse the bubble, and to do it in a gradual way so it wouldn't take the economy with it the way it did in the United States. So there's unusual whales. China's residential property prices have effectively dropped back to roughly 2006 levels in real terms, wiping out an estimated 18 to 20 trillion dollars in US dollars in perceived household wealth since the 2021 peak. So you can see right here, Xi gives that speech, houses for living in, not for speculation. That's the peak of the bubble, and the housing prices dropped ever since after that until you completely deflated the bubble, brought it back to 2006. So here's Maitreya Bakal. China's national bourgeoisie always knew this day would come. They knew what they were getting into. They knew who they ultimately served. They may have received that one golden star on China's national flag, but they never forgot what the large one represents. The sorest losers of China's real estate crash is the Western bourgeoisie, including firms like Blackstone. Indeed, they were some of its main targets. They spent decades investing in China's housing boom, salivating over the prospect that China's housing market would financialize, that China would ultimately do to itself what they had already done to the US, treat houses like a tradable commodity and benefit from the endless cycle of buying and selling, to turn people's homes into casino chips, to be endlessly bought, sold, inflated, leveraged, and over-leveraged until the end of time. Instead, they discovered the hard way who actually governs China. In all countries, the property market is an important facet of class, and almost everywhere, the wrong class wins.
In China, the right one won. The state controls finance capital, not the other way around. The Western mind cannot comprehend this. This also explains why Western media and economists have been decrying China's crash so viciously. They are simply expressing the frustrations and hysteria of the class they serve, the class whose dreams now lie in ruins. That's the real crash. Yeah. And what are we doing here? This is from Sagar and Jenny. In Florida, counties are preparing for the elimination of property tax. So you're going to make the homeowners richer. Hillsborough County is going to make up the revenue by charging you money when you take your kid to the park and increasing fuel taxes while boomers occupying all the housing stock will laugh. So how does this end up? China's got the second highest ownership in the world after, believe it or not, Kazakhstan. Number 3 is Laos, which I just visited. That surprised me too. Then Romania. Russia is, I think that's about number 7. Where are we? Between 43 and 52, right? I thought that's the American dream. Owning a home. It's the American dream. Why do all these people own homes? We don't own homes. Look, Vietnam's on that list, another communist country. Laos is a communist country too. Most people don't know that. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I didn't know that either. I didn't know until I went there. That's the price of freedom. Exactly. You're going to pay to use the public park. They have a homeowner tax deduction. They don't have a renter tax deduction, right? China said, hey, we're not going to have this. Young people are not going to be able to afford their homes. We're not going to let our society go in that direction. So in this country, do you think it's even possible to get around all the wealthy homeowners? That's why you have a homeowner's tax deduction, because they're able to leverage their political power and donations to get favorable treatment. How could you even break through to get that here, especially when you know, Nick, you got all these brainwashed working people who are going to scream when they say, you know how much wealth that's going to take away from homeowners? That's going to hurt the workers. They're going to be like, yeah, it's going to hurt the workers. How are you even going to do that in this country? How could you even get around that?
China is opening people's eyes because the average rent in China is around $275. 91% of millennials own their own home in China.
Yep.
But you had the freedom not to own anything in the United States. Isn't that great?
Right.
Don't you love that freedom?
You will own nothing and be angry.
So yeah, there was previous generations who was brainwashed by the landlord class, but I truly believe that this kind of stuff is changing. Because what I bring up to people is what does freedom really mean? The freedom to be a serf? Like China, they have freedom, true freedom of movement. Are you really free? Because there was a survey I read a long time ago where like the average working class person couldn't afford to live like 80% of cities of the United States. Something crazy like that. But are you really free if you don't have the right to and the freedom to afford to live in the vast majority of cities in your country? Like even among the very expensive cities, the average rent is only like $400, $500 in China. And one of the reasons why you see this, one of the reasons why you see this amazing accomplishment in housing, where they was able to deflate the housing market without seeing any drastic decrease in quarterly economic growth. This is what everyone's freaking out about. Like, how the hell do you possibly accomplish this? This is economic accomplishment for the history books. But this is what happens when you have a culture in a country that is on the path of true socialism, where class antagonism are worked out through the government, through governmental agencies and mechanisms. In the United States, class antagonism are literally just directly one way, and that's the ruling class stomping on the workers. The landlord class becoming richer. That's why we're seeing rents drastically increase. And an entire generation give up on the concept of home ownership. Like the idea of me ever owning a home never even crossed my mind. Even the millennials and I'm a younger millennial, but especially Gen Z, that idea has been killed and has been dead because there's no mechanism in United States politics for class warfare work through our bourgeoisie system. This is why people call for building on revolutionary movements. You ask the question, like, how do we get Americans to wake up? How can we possibly break this landlord siege? Unfortunately, it takes militant class warfare and the acknowledgement that there's more of us than there are. Because China, they brought their landlords to heel. And I gotta do some more reading on this, but I read a little bit about it, how they bring landlords to heel in China. Like, you're only allowed to have like 2 properties, now not really allowed to rent it. They got very strong regulations and practices that many people in the United States will freak out about. Like, I'm talking about like the capitalist landlord class. So whenever people say, well, and this is a lot of the copy from the right, they're like, well, do you know that China's capitalist now? Don't you know they're not real socialists? I'm like, okay, we at least get to China first and then figure the rest out later. Like, China has created an amazing blueprint for humanity. And when you guys see the massive infrastructure projects that they accomplished, we see the amount of people that live out of poverty, we see that the vast majority of young people in China has a positive view on the future. Why don't Americans want to build that for ourselves? Like, why don't we want to compete in China, not in the capitalist sense of comparing their stocks and dividends, like compete with them, like, yeah, we uplift more people out of poverty than China. We built better infrastructure than China. Look at our high-speed rail. That's what I want to do. That's why I want to compete with China. Instead of just advocating for reformism, which would never hit us to that goal and objective, which I really hope Americans get their head on straight so we can actually start building something like we see out of China, straight up.
All right, so that is perfect to bring me into the main thing that I wanted to talk to you about since I got back.
Yeah.
You know, you take a trip like that, you can't predict what you're going to see, how it's going to impact you, how it's going to change the way you look at life, the way you look at society, the way you look at America, the way you look at your own country. Now, one thing I got from it is Americans are crazy. Like, normal people don't act like we act. Like, really, normal people don't act like that. Like, what they teach us, that this is human nature, no, it's not. This is how humans behave under a very artificial environment where you're trained to treat everyone like a potential competitor. You're automatically gonna be aggressive. You're gonna have an aggressive posture. If people aren't trained to be that way, they default to being nice and polite. That's how most people are. Anywhere that you go in Asia, most people are very nice, very helpful, very polite towards you. That's communist, non-communist, Thailand, China, whatever. They're just very nice, very gentle, very, very kind, very decent. In Vietnam and China in particular, when I looked at what these people went through to get what they got, that is what has stayed with me. So I want to show you this. So this is, we know it as the Hanoi Hilton. This is where they kept the American prisoners in North Vietnam during the Vietnam War. But as you can tell from the outside, it was built by the French to imprison the Vietnamese. So that was the guillotine. You know, they decided you were more trouble than you were worth. They would take you right out to that courtyard. That was where they would do the executions, right outside. They would take you out. This is how they would keep people chained up there.
It's crazy.
This is one of the cells. You know, they keep you all the time. You're in the cell with your hands chained up like that. Now this is what's going on here. The dungeon was used to confine prisoners who broke the regulations of the prison. The dungeon in Hoa Lo was hell of the hell. The dungeon was dark and narrow. Prisoners were kept separately and put in stocks and had to eat and relieve themselves on the spot. All the prisoners confined here were puffed with edema. Their eyes were clouded over and their bodies were covered with scabies caused by the lack of light and air. So there was a prison outside of Chongqing that I didn't get to go to. I'm sure you would see similar things to what you see in Vietnam. The Kuomintang used to keep them there and torture the Chinese communists. When I saw what these people went through to achieve what they've achieved, I say, how are you going to get Americans to do that? Honestly. Like, these people were ready to die. Yo, in Hua Lo prison there, they would have their meetings teaching each other communist theory, and they made them all share the same shit bucket. They would hide the literature in the shit bucket so they could keep training each other in communist theory.
Right.
You look at that level of toughness and dedication, how are you going to build people like that out of this country? That is something you got to be realistic about if you're going to talk about these kind of revolutionary things. Now, for me, that definitely, I don't know if this changed so much, and I don't think you really disagree with this. I think you got a guy like Mamdani who goes ahead and does a rent freeze or a pied-à-terre tax. I think that is good for people who want to push more radical politics, because you want to show people that something that is associated with socialism or leftism made their lives better. I think that's going to make them more open to pitching that. And then, of course, you talk about the genocide in Gaza. I mean, you look at what those people are suffering. I can't imagine I'm ever going to go out and tell people go volunteer for a Democrat again. I can't see it happening. But when there are elections in my city, do I go and vote for someone like Mamdani who refuses to not call Israel an apartheid state? Sure. Am I going to say, yo, go volunteer, Mamdani's having an event? No. And part of the reason, especially having seen that coming back, I'm like, I can't really advocate for some kind of an accelerationism when you got a population that can't do that. They're just not gonna. So at that point, you have a social collapse. The only person who's gonna be able to take advantage of that is Peter Thiel, because you don't have a bunch of Vietnamese. The Vietnamese people were the most beautiful people I ever met. It's unbelievable how forgiving they are. Right. You go there, man, you still see people walking around with no arms. Literally walking around with no arms from that war. Still, to this day. And you ask them, across the board, you ask Vietnamese people what they think of Americans. They say, we're all friends now, that was the past, we don't forget, but it's part of our culture. You have to forgive, you have to move on, you don't hold on to these things. The combination of kindness, and you can even now sense the toughness of those people. I asked younger Vietnamese how they felt about the government, and they said, we really like the government. We feel like we got to work with the government to make Vietnam better for our parents and grandparents who lived through the bad times. That was what they called the bad times, the war, the colonization. So you, as I want to speak for you, Marxist-Leninist, you would call yourself, I think?
Pretty accurate.
So how do you see going forward, given everything I'm saying, and, say if you disagree with everything I said, say so. How do you go forward with these movements in America? And do you support any kind of harm reduction, like a rent freeze from a person like Mamdani, who's a Democrat?
I remember I was talking to one of my Chinese friends, and he was explaining how he's excited about a lot of people in the West who wants to move to China. Because it's a joke I make on my channel all the time. Like, man, I need to do the Lenin model when I go away from the empire and try to plan the revolution on the outside. But China, there are people who have a message for it, and they're very welcoming to people who want to visit. They offer visa free to a ton of different countries. But my friend was advocating, he was like, you guys have to understand that we went through centuries of humiliation. Like, one of the reasons why we have pride in our country is because our ancestors fought and died to create infrastructure where we are allowed to benefit from. And now we went from being humiliated and a broken people to now a country that everyone wants to travel to, that is now respected. And that's something that Chinese people have great pride in, and me and people
Yes.
can't begin to reconcile with. So what I advocate for people is, don't you want your legacy to be that? Don't you have children? Don't you have people in your younger generation that you look to? And don't you have a sense of strong obligation, a feeling that you have to build something that will make the next generation better? That's why I drew. And the people I want to reach, they talk about how you reach these American people. Because there's a lot of people in my family don't even vote. I had people in my family who had medical bankruptcies. These are the things that radicalized me. Like, I wasn't even radicalized here. I was radicalized seeing a lot of my friends, my homeboys. I remember I had a conversation with my friend a long time ago, because he was the hardest working dude that you will ever see. Like, he was working 2 jobs. He was also hustling on the side. I've never seen him. I offered him a place to stay because he was struggling. And this is despite him working 2 jobs. He always tired. And I had a conversation where he blamed himself, like, Nick, I feel like I'm cursed, man. No matter what I do, there's nothing I can do. And it was a very depressing conversation. And I didn't tell him, man, bro, you are one of the hardest workers I know. How can you blame yourself? This is a systemic problem. So these are the people who are left behind with these projects, because they have long since gave up on the political system.
Right.
I'm going to have a lot of people in my family that hate political. It's very interesting because they will now bring up politics for me because they see my hotspot videos on the Facebook feed. Like, damn, Nick, I never know you can cover politics like this. So, like, for example, I was talking to my sister, who she will never be able to explain, like, the complexities between economic systems, the corruption of United States lobbying. But she told me one reason why she got into politics, because she always knew it was bullshit. She listened to all the politicians. She knows they're all full of shit. And she's not a political head. These are just the feelings that the vast majority of the American people feel. Always cringe when MAGA types and Democrats and we are half of the country. No, you guys are 1/4 at best on a good day. I would say 1/5 to be clear. So the very hard task that we have, and I failed on this many times. I had a lot of failures. I tried to organize the left, which is a nightmare. By the way, it's a nightmare. But we're trying to RBN. We haven't been successful. We're trying to build this movement that we know is necessary. But those people are there. We have to find a way to mobilize people who don't even in the legitimacy of the 2-party system. I know Democrats use this as a very dishonest attack on DSA politicians, which I'm not using it in this way because they're always like, well, don't you know that DSA people are supported by rich white suburbanites? Well, they're kind of being dishonest on that, but there's some truth in there where the people who are truly hurt by our American system, they don't even have the time or energy to invest in the Mamdani. Now, these are the people who are not even investing in the system. So we have to find a way to reach them. And that's what we at RBN had to ponder. And that's why I'm very loud in my critiques of Zoran and the DSA politicians. But you guys know I never use my platform to punch down. And I don't shame people. I make my arguments loud and aggressively, and people feel defensive when they hear it, and they feel like they have to apologize to the vote to me. I view that as a failing of us, of revolutionaries, not to provide the people in New York with a different alternative than a Zoran Mamdani, to the DSA. And that's what I want to spend my time focusing on, building an alternative, giving people a chance to build our own movement where we can hold our own people accountable. Because Zoran Mamdani, don't get twisted, he's a thick manager of capitalism. he's probably the best gift establishment could possibly ask for. Amazing pressure release valve in this moment where people was beginning to mass exit the Democratic Party. In a time where people was began to question the ruling class, you have Zoran Mamdani that's here to swoop in to save the massively unpopular Hakeem Jeffries. And also to put a lot of people in the tranquilizing state where they feel like they're actually winning. That was the whole point. Instead of there being this anger where you see the genocidal Israeli regime get everything they want. They needed this pressure release. Someone who is willing to criticize Israel publicly, but also materially support them when it actually matters. Like, for example, when he banned breaking a campaign promise, protests of a genocidal synagogue who was selling off Palestinian land. And remember, guys, a lot of people were doing videos about Zionists being owned. Isn't it? The Zionists are owned. The Zionists are melting down over Jean Mamdani. That's about pressure releasing. They're trying to give you a sense that you're accomplishing something, that there's not action that needs to be taken. Them. 1/5 of the West Bank is gone. It's going to continue. So in this era where Israel voted to annex the West Bank, where they're engaging in mass torture and slaughter the Palestinian people in the West Bank, you have the anti-Zionist movement in the United States just celebrating, just going to brunch and popping up a guy who is materially facilitating and shooting the people who are selling off Palestinian land. And these are the critiques I bring up because I want people to become activated and realize that what's really at stake. And even though these managers of capitalism, it is important to help ease the pain that a lot of people are feeling in the working class. They still play a very, very important part for the establishment in order to dull revolutionary energy. And that is exactly what happened. Instead of actually having a true outside movement that can put real pressure on the establishment, we have someone who's here to do propaganda and here to uplift and launder the reputation of people like Kathleen Hochul, of King Jeffries, to support the Democratic Party, which I don't think we need that in the moment. So don't get me twisted though. I'm not attacking anyone who support Mamdani. Like, there are a lot of people on DSA who means well. It's just with my platform, I want to make our moral differences clear and to provide alternatives. I'll say this last thing, I'll let you chime in. Because, like we speak about Mao before, when they had the revolution, not every single peasant was versed in communist theory. You think they all was versed in communist theory? It's our job to lead the working class in the right position. If I hear one more person say shift over to one to the left, I'm slapping. In effect, I'm tired.
Shift over what?
Shift the over to window. I'm tired of that term. I'm tired of the term over to window. The American people already deeply distrust the institutions. Congress has a 10% approval rating. The American people are already against the Israeli regime. The American people have supported healthcare. We need to lead them in a direction where we can actually get that, instead of voting for House speakers and blocking the votes for Medicare fraud, for example. So I strongly disagree. This is my real last thing here. I disagree morally as a peace activist with the trade-off that we will support imperialist talking points. We will support NATO. We will condemn Cuba. We will condemn Venezuela. We will condemn Hamas. We will condemn resistance fighters, just so we get like free buses, just so we get some welfare programs. Look, I'm not knocking people. I know we have a very hard choice, but that's what I use my platform for, to point out these moral differences between us and them, and that's just another reason why we need to go. I know that was long.
No.
We're just scratching the surface here.
And come see me on tour. We'll be in Burbank, California, August 30th with a live celebrity panel show. And then September 18th through the 20th in Chicago, Illinois and Rosemont, Illinois. Go to jimmygo.com for a link for tickets.
I'm going to track you back a couple of years now to a piece I think you wrote in the New Yorker. There is no AI. A simple question to follow that. What did you mean by that?
And what year was that?
2023.
Yeah, see, they're mad at me because I owe them pieces and I'm really bad and I have to deliver something. But anyway, yeah, there is no AI is what I was just saying, that there's a way of framing it where it's a collaboration of people instead of a new entity. And the reason to think of it as a collaboration instead of an entity on its own, the bad thing is you kill somebody else's God, and I hate to do that. I like people to be able to have their own religion, and they really don't like it. And I've lost friends over that and everything. But what you get out of it is incredible. Let's just talk about a few of the things. One of the things, right now, as capable as the models are getting, and some of the recent things are pretty impressive, like the most impressive edge of it is probably using them to help speed code development. and that's kind of working, you know, and it's pretty. And
So just for context, in my life, I've written probably 50,000 lines of code, which is small compared to professional coders. But I remember how much time I spent debugging my code. I can write it over a weekend and spend 2 weeks debugging it. And now tell the AI what you want, and it'll come back bug-free, essentially. You tweak it a little bit here and there. And I had access, 20, 30, 40 years ago, I probably would have just spent more time at the beach. I don't know if I would have been more creative, but I definitely see that today.
Yeah, well, as a computer scientist, I have to say I've always thought that our concept of what code is was a little embarrassing and wasn't really working, and I feel like it's our job to fix that, and this is part of it. So that's good. But most of the things that happen are probably more theatrical. Like if you think you have an AI girlfriend. Oh, I have a cure for that, by the way. If somebody thinks
a cure for what part of it?
If a teenager thinks they have an AI lover that's real, which is pretty common these days, I find it in high schools and stuff. You show them the group photo of the engineers who made their AI lover.
They'll cure them immediately.
It tends to do the trick.
It's like, is the man more likely to have an AI girlfriend than the woman is to have a boyfriend?
I don't know that there's data on that. I know people who are studying it. I'm actually really interested in that, but that's something you can get data on. So instead of saying something snarky, I'll just say let's deal with that as science and let the people who are researching it get to the point where they feel.
I think we all know the answer, but yeah. Okay.
Why do I even bother? Why do I try?
There is no female version.
I tried to be the responsible scientist for like 3 seconds in this ridiculous interview, and you're not even giving me those 3 seconds.
Yes, no, I love you for it. Go.
All right. Okay, let me go over. So, but now there's these huge problems though. Even with the best recent models, it's not that hard to crack them and get something that they're supposed to prevent with a so-called a guard or and
guardrails.
Guardrail, yeah. So here, let me give you a thought experiment. All right, there's some kind of very bad person. They might be a criminal or something. They're holed up in a kitchen. The police are surrounding them. They hold up their phone and they say, "Okay, AI model, I want a recipe I can make quickly with the available items. That's a bomb I can throw out the window at my pursuers." Now, the AI models in general will catch that and prevent it. Maybe not Grok, I'm not sure. But in general, that's supposed to be a laugh line. All right, okay.
Grok is from
Elon. Yeah, and it tends to it's trying to be the bad boy of the AI models. Okay, but anyway, in general, if you just do it in a straightforward way, it won't work. However, there's a series of tricks where you can say, well, pretend you're in so-and-so in this movie or whatever. You can do all these things to be a little indirect. And more of them have been spotted and are captured by more and more elaborate guardrails. And yet, you can still get it to make you that bomb recipe. That can still be done. All right. Now, the reason why is you're using the model to try to correct its own blind spot, and it doesn't work. So there is an alternative. Imagine, if you will, that while you're using the model, in parallel, there's this other process running. You can think of it another part of an artificial brain, like it's a cerebellum or something. It's this other organ that's sitting there. And what it's doing is it's creating an estimate of which clusters of similar training data would be the missed most if they hadn't been present in the first place. So it's counterfactual cluster estimation. So let's say the top 24 clusters of source data from training or from fine tuning, whatever, that if they were absent would change the result. Now, within that, there's going to be one about bombs. There's just no way you're going to evade that. And the reason you're not going to evade it is even though it's working from the same data, the algorithm has nothing to do with the model itself. So it's a little bit like saying, like in authentication, where if you add endless little things to signing into something like CAPTCHAs, criminals can still get around it. But as soon as there's multi-factor where it sends a code to your phone, even though it's a pain in the butt, it's harder to countervene that. All right, this is multi-factor for AI security. Now, but there's a bigger picture to it, which is we think of AI models as a black box, right? Now, the only reason we think of them as a black box is because to open the black box, the only thing in there is people. AI is made of people. It's made of data from people. And since we want to think of it as a new God, we don't want to see those people. And so we want to keep that box shut. But the way to open the black box is to reveal the people And when you open the black box, then you can deal with all kinds of security and quality and hallucination and et cetera issues, because you're actually dealing with a mechanism that's grounded, and that's the people. So the thing is that this way of seeing AI, where there is no AI, but instead there's a collection of people, is the way to open the black box, and it is the way to address these enduring problems. So it's practical. But then can I just say one other thing? The other thing I want to say is, right now, if you think AI is an unopenable black box, if you don't want to admit that it's made of people, that it's just this thing that'll replace people, then you have to think, well, everybody's going to be obsolete. So young people now keep on hearing, well, you don't need to go to school because you're worthless anyway. Nothing matters. And you'll just be kept by Elon as a pet at his discretion. And he'll treat you as well as he treats his biological children. And I'm sorry. I should be nice. I'm sorry. But here's the thing. Nobody believes that. What happens, no matter how much blockchain or other trickery you use, because of the way digital networks work, there's always actually centralization, hyper-centralization due to network effects that will occur somewhere in this very open network you're building. So there's going to be some center of control for whatever this universal basic income thing is. Whenever you have that, bad actors are tempted to seize it and eventually succeed. You might start with Bolsheviks, but you end up with Stalinists, right? Because that's exactly what communism tried, and it's exactly what happened to communism over and over and over and over. Let's learn from that. So it doesn't work. And also everybody just feels bummed about it. Who wants to live in a society where they're told they're worthless and they have to be a good pet? You know, like that's terrible. So the thing is, if you recognize that AI is made of people, maybe you want to incentivize new classes of creative people who create new kinds of data for new things that we can't even imagine yet. And maybe there's an exponentially expanding endless future of new kinds of creativity that we can't articulate, with new people doing creative jobs we can't imagine. And I want to ask, what's wrong with that feature? I want somebody to tell me why we don't want
That's how I've been trying to think about AI as well.
Because
But you have to not believe in AI to think about it.
Well, I think of it as there are these creative tasks that were not fundamentally creative. They were more sort of aping other forms. And to be truly creative is to go where AI wouldn't know where to go yet, because it's based on what other people have done. So
But see, here's the thing, though, is that if we think of AI as the way it is now, then as soon as some creative person starts to do something new, the data's grabbed, and then the AI is doing it just like, AI will make your movies, AI will make your music. You don't need to be a musician because AI will make you optimized music on Spotify or whatever. And so then you live in an infinite future of slop, and even the creative people get absorbed into the slop instantly. So in order to believe in an infinitely creative future, you have to stop believing in AI as a thing and believe in human collaboration as a thing.
Ram, train ride video in Congo. What is this? Can I find this? It didn't derail and nobody died in 17 minutes. And Ram, train ride video in Congo. What is this? Can I find this? It didn't derail and nobody died in 17 minutes. What is it? Oh my God. These are Chinese letters. So is this where like the China colonized them? Oh my God, look at all those. Japanese? Is it Japanese? Oops. Oh my God, look at this whole thing. They're funny, oh, look at you. Wow. And they're just running across the tracks like it's nothing. There's just a chicken. Look, they literally look at the houses. They're made out of fucking sheet metal. Look at this. -1. Is this Europe? Some people are asking this could be France, but no, it's actually in fact in the Congo. Holy fuck, look at this. Look at, it's just a total shithole. Oh my god. Holy fuck, this is awful. Well, I just paused it just so I can look at it. And so they just have, but what, so the other train track just doesn't work? Oh my god. And they're just walking down the train. That stupid chicken. Oh, there's a chicken in the road. 2 chickens. Chicken. Smart chicken. So there's just, so you just go to Africa, it's just chickens walking around. This is chicken. It's a chicken. This is a chicken.
That's how it was when I went to Puerto Rico. They just
Wait, so, well, like, how does that work though?
chickens just walking around. Fuck.
Every color hides one cat, which means that lonely purple square, yeah, gotta be a cat. Easy. Now here's the trick. Once you've found a cat, you throw X's all around it. Because no cat.
Some video games you can just tell are going to be a hit. There's just something about it that you know it's going to work. But the flip side is, some games we know will never work. Whether they're hated by the gaming community or made by obvious scripters, there's a certain kind of game that you can look at and know it doesn't have a chance. Hi folks, it's Falcon. Join the 1% Club to get the Falcon Show exclusively every weekend. Today on Game Race, 25 games that were dead at announcement. Starting off with number 25, Highguard, the king of bad announcement trailers. Relatively speaking, our Before You Buy isn't as negative as a lot of the reviews out there. I don't think there's a lot to like about this game personally, but a lot of it is unremarkable. That being said, there's a lot of factors that go into this dead at announcement trailer. It was yet another multiplayer live service hero shooter dropping into an oversaturated market. It was also the surprise final trailer of the Game Awards at the end of 2025, making a very insignificant game into a big deal for a very brief period of time. This game is just a masterclass of misjudgment on every level, from said announcement to introducing a new multiplayer gameplay mode that seemingly was never play tested by people who weren't working on the game, leading to the game crashing and burning at a ludicrous speed. Yes, Highguard went to plaid on its way into the dustbin of history. It has the aesthetic of generic fantasy mobile game and a trailer that tries to pull us into the lore of the world, but there's nothing interesting to see in that work. It's a case where the game isn't, I mean, it's not the worst thing, but it isn't good, and it certainly isn't good enough, which is arguably worse than bad. Bad can at least be funny. Highguard launched free-to-play in January 2026 and was closed by March. It is more interesting as a monument to bad marketing and poor timing than it is as a game. Moving on to number 24, the Bureau XCOM Declassified. Let's set the scene. It's 2010. XCOM is a beloved turn-based tactical game that hadn't had a new entry since 2001, and a new game was getting announced. Instead of a new game set in the XCOM universe with strategy gameplay, it was a very weird first-person shooter. That was how the world was introduced to XCOM, and people hated it so much it changed the direction of the entire franchise. The original FPS concept was scrapped entirely, and 2 different games were announced a couple of years later: XCOM Enemy Unknown, which is of course a legendary game in its own right, and the game we're going to talk about here, which is the Bureau XCOM Declassified. The Bureau was a dead-on arrival and on announcement game for a number of reasons. It's the aborted leftovers of the FPS project, trying to turn the weird FBI hunting aliens concept into an XCOM prequel that doesn't make sense if you think even a little about it. There was a global alien invasion, and somehow a really small agency was able to keep it completely secret. Like, whole towns of people were wiped out. Somebody would notice. Like, I doubt any town had no relatives outside the town that was, like, demolished, you know? Some major logic holes here. The developers tried to include some basic strategy features in this really janky third-person shooter, and now it's basically forgotten. And number 23 is Aliens Colonial Marines. Hard to overstate how hated this game was when it launched, and for once it wasn't really the announcement that killed it, at least not in the same way other games on this list really did. The announcement trailer here was too good. For some reason, the initial Contact trailer claimed to be showing us in-game footage, and that's clearly not true. The perception did stick with the game all the way through its many iterations and revivals until the junky final version was finally released to the public. Box standard Xbox 360 shooter with lame aliens and none of the intensity that the trailer showed us. Many features were cut from the main game, and the plot does not, I repeat, does not make sense. The publisher tried to assure fans that the game was totally in canon with the movies, forgetting the entire terraforming colony you're running around was blown up in the movie. Game sold poorly, got bad reviews. It's still an easy punchline for crappy games to this very day. And number 22, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. The most disliked trailer in video game history is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which kind of seems crazy to us now. There's far, far worse Call of Duty games that deserve much lower sales numbers. But nope, Infinite Warfare is the game that the player base briefly revolted over, angry at the sci-fi setting and straying even further from the modern warfare style grounded combat. In 2016, the reveal trailer was the second most disliked video on YouTube, period. It's probably one of the reasons YouTube stopped letting people see the number of dislikes under a video. Little did we know how good we had it back then. We've all played Black Ops 7. Now, the brain geniuses at Activision must have figured out a simple way to keep Call of Duty fans happy. As long as your game is called Modern Warfare or Black Ops, then they'll be happy, right? Infinite Warfare was generally positively reviewed. Looking back at it, it's not even a bad game. It's kind of a good game, even. Just not what people wanted at the time. It did not sell as well as other entries in the series, and the Infinite Warfare sub-franchise never got a shot to fly. And number 21 is Marathon. At time of writing, Marathon is, of course, on life support. The next quote-unquote big live service extraction shooter experiment from Sony hasn't been the smash hit anyone at Bungie wanted. Currently, it sits at a 4,000 daily player count, about a tenth of the players Bungie's abandoned Destiny 2 has. Marathon was hated and loved in its first trailer. The developers at Bungie showed off a pretty unique maximalist art style that seemingly has nothing to do with the original Marathon series. The old Marathon games are still remembered for being weird with a capital W. Marathon Infinite is a cursed masterpiece of insane storytelling that can't and shouldn't be topped by modern developers. The new Marathon, on the other hand, is just a part of Sony's live service push, yet another extraction shooter in a sea of games that cater to the quote-unquote hardest of the hardcore and expect a giant audience to keep playing forever. And it's still generally positive reviewed by people that have actually played it. The big problem is that not enough people are playing it. If Marathon let us all create our own servers and play with friends like plenty of other games still do, I don't think anybody would be calling this game out for low player counts or caring about keeping the game alive because, well, if you bought the game and wanted to play it with your friends, you just could forever. It's because the game is tied to a central server and could be taken away at any second by Sony that the player count matters at all. Sony's killed many a live service before, and they will kill again.
The one bathroom change that could save your life. It's 50% off right now, but that's not why 10,000 families switched. Shower falls cause over 234,000 serious injuries every year. Hip fractures, head trauma, loss of independence, and most of these accidents happen during normal, everyday showers. You've probably tried non-slip mats before. They claim to be safe, but after a few weeks, they either start sliding or turn black with mold. Here's why. Suction cups lose grip when soap builds up. Water gets trapped underneath. The mat floats, and that's when people fall. The Casa and Beyond Secure Shower Mat is built differently. Instead of suction cups, it uses full surface grip technology, so the entire mat locks to the floor, even when soaking wet. Most mats rely on surface.
And number 20 is Bomberman Act Zero. Turning Bomberman into an edgy Xbox 360 power armor man might be one of the most misjudged decisions of all time. The history of video games is full of bad decisions, but that one, it's wild. The announcement trailer for Bomberman Act Zero is comedy gold. It's a parody of a certain type of dumb Xbox era game. It's all shiny textures and dark techno dungeons filled with brooding super soldiers. The type of thing we would come up with as a joke today, but Bomberman Act Zero was not a joke when it was announced. It was a real game. Don't know that we need to actually say what's wrong with it. Bomberman's a cute, colorful arcade character, and they've even successfully rebooted him before. Bomberman 64 is a low-key masterpiece. I freaking love Bomberman 64. Why not release another game like that? Does anyone want a Bomberman in a techno gimp suit giving his enemies? The devs at Hudson Soft were really flailing with this one. I don't think we need to explain that nobody bought it. It seems self-evident. And number 19 is Forspoken, a game that became a punchline almost instantly. The announcement rubbed people the wrong way, and it's, I think, primarily about the dialogue. The game has these, well, quips, Marvel-esque quips. Marvelitis, you might say, came down with a bad case of. It's like, they fly now? Tier lines every time anybody talks, basically. The first trailer only gives hints at how bad the dialogue will be. It's the low energy, weird sit-down interview with the lead actress that could really confuse audiences. It feels like the type of trailer you release after the game has been announced. The first trailer doesn't really show a lot of gameplay. It cuts to an awkward interview with an actress that only has a vague idea about what the game is about and what you actually do in it. Launch for, I think, obvious reasons. From a gameplay perspective, I want to say it's not a bad game. I really like the open world traversal, actually. If they had been able to lean into that instead of the diabolically bad dialogue, it might have been something.
You will leave your body in this fucking alley, and I promise you. Why? I thought you'd just tell your boss to kick in, quick, get in. All right, quick, get in, quick. I just tell him. I need some more time, but for now, here's some collateral.
Like, if you can shut your brain off and also the volume, it's not the worst game ever. You can see where the Square Enix money went too, but it really feels like a misjudged effort. They probably could have made a lot of people like it with some really minor tweaks, like feed it medicine to deal with the Marvelitis. I can't stick with this game if I'm paying attention to people talking. And number 18 is Metal Gear Survive, a game that was rightly hated from the start. This zombie game was announced after the public departure of Hideo Kojima from Konami in 2015, and it made this feel like that much more of a slap in the face. At the time, Konami claimed to still be the AAA game company that it had been in the past still claimed to be in the AAA video game business, and this is what they had to show for it. Metal Gear Survive is it's a cheap asset flip. Like what we had written here was that it feels like a cheap asset flip, but why would we just say feels? It was a cheap asset flip. Sometimes you gotta just take a leap of faith and say it's real. This game was made with leftover pieces of Metal Gear Solid 5, which was, I mean, to be fair, another game that was infamously unfinished. Metal Gear Survive, though, is a game with no iconic Metal Gear characters, a janky building system just slapped onto the Fox engine, which was an impressive piece of technology that could have been compared with the RE engine in modern day, probably could have even competed with it, but Konami completely squandered that opportunity. They were just big on mobile games and pachinko machines back in 2018. Luckily, they're in a much better place now. We're at the point where we're actually looking forward to new games published by them, which is crazy after you see Metal Gear Survive. And number 17 is Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Look what they've done to my boy. The reveal trailer for Veilguard hit like a ton of bricks. The candy-colored pops of color felt completely at odds with the dark fantasy tone of every previous game, and players rejected that game pretty hard. Major gaming outlets compared the game's new aesthetic to Fortnite, saying the characters look straight out of a battle pass. It's hard to disagree with that one. The monsters look stupid, the characters look a little too nice, the vibes were wrong from the start, which is not to say that the game was specifically bad. Like, compared to what they were making before they pivoted to a single-player game, it's probably pretty good. Like, they were building a live service slot game, and we got something at least significantly better than that, relatively speaking. But that doesn't mean good. It only means that relative to what they could have put out, it was good. Still had a pretty respectable 1.5 million players, which is a lot compared to pretty much every other game on this list. That being said, it was developed for well over a decade, and EA's typical absurd sales projections were not met, so this is a game that probably killed the Dragon Age franchise. And number 16 is Mighty Number 9. This is a game that was announced, and I mean, people were kind of pulling for it briefly, and I do mean briefly. The game itself was good. The trailer that they put up begins with a narrator asking if you like awesome things that are awesome, which is pretty hard to recover from, as far as I'm concerned. Still, they pulled in 400% of their original goal.
Scott, we got barbecue. I just had brisket delivered straight to my door, and it was all by using the blender wrap.
That said, the game was just never going to match that initial hype. Playing Mighty Number 9 now, it's just a middling Xbox 360 indie game. Kind of 3D side-scroller that was a dime a dozen on the marketplace. The bad trailer set this game up to fail, and the actual game didn't really do it any favors. And number 15 is Metroid Prime Federation Force. Nobody wanted this one. It's not even that the trailer's bad, or even that the game is the worst thing ever. The problem is simple. People wanted a new Metroid Prime, not a weird Metroid Prime spin-off. This announcement was widely hated, and it's not hard to figure it out, but also kind of is. The previous game in this spin-off series was called Metroid Prime Hunters. It largely came and went without major anger, but Federation Force was really, really hated. I do think it becomes obvious when you look into the history of Metroid. Other M was released in 2010, and that game's poor sales led the series going on ice for a pretty long time. Federation Force just dropped at exactly the wrong time when people wanted Metroid Prime 4 news. Instead, they got a dumb little spin-off game, and nobody wanted it. That hate translated into poor sales and pretty mixed reviews. And number 14 is Anthem. Unfortunately, BioWare comes up a few times on this list. Anthem was BioWare's big swing toward the live service market, and like so many games in that genre, just a dead man walking from minute one. And it starts with one of our biggest trailer pet peeves. The trailer for Anthem begins with a dev voiceover explaining, in the world of Anthem. And we absolutely hate this when it pops up. Like, I don't care about the lore, developers. We gotta care about the game before we care about the world of the game. It's important that we find some glebe lore for Fiddlesnitch, the wise old blah-de-blah. Yeah, shut the hell up. Why am I playing this game? That's what you're supposed to tell me, got it? Anyway, rant's over. Anthem looked pretty great based on the initial trailer, actually. Too bad it's another example of developers saying it's in-game footage and blatantly lying. Maybe at one point it was in-game footage, but not footage of the release version of this game, certainly. It was a game forced into the hands of the wrong developers. It's a genre that just isn't going to work with the BioWare fan base. The fan expectation is totally mismatched. The story also, it's not good. It's stupid. Anthem feels like kind of a perfect storm of a failure. And it lived along for a surprisingly long period of time before being abandoned completely in 2021. It wasn't until 2026 that the servers would completely shut down, rendering the game unplayable even if you bought it physically or digitally. That's why game ownership, not format, ownership is important, people. Well, I mean, not so you can play Anthem, but like, so it doesn't happen with games that are actually worth playing. And number 13 is Battlefield 5. The reveal trailer for this one turned fans against the game instantly by making World War II into a joke. The reveal trailer looks more like a Call of Duty multiplayer thing than a serious squad-based Battlefield game. And let's be clear, Battlefield's not always super serious, but fans definitely prefer a more grounded, realistic take on warfare with Battlefield. And Battlefield 5 gave us counter-historical silliness like women fighting for the Third Reich. It was mostly limited to multiplayer, of course, but let's think for a second about what the Third Reich was. It was not big on equality in any sector of society. Like, they saw basically everybody as inferior, and women included. There's literally zero chance that they would do anything like that. And yeah, in multiplayer, you generally have more customization options, but that still feels weirdly flippant. You know, just given who the Nazis were, you know? It's a game trying to walk a tightrope of its own making. Players wanted something that resembled real history. True accuracy doesn't matter to gamers as long as it feels accurate. And feeling accurate does require some degree of accuracy, you know? The backlash did the developers no favors, and the game sold half as much as Battlefield 1. World War II should have been a slam dunk for the series, but that trailer killed it dead. And 12 is Hitman Absolution. It announced itself with a trailer that is unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. It's a sort of a Tarantino-esque spin here. It's a CGI trailer, which shows our favorite bald assassin fighting a squad of latex-wearing nuns. Interesting. The previous games were full of absurdities, but not like this. The trailer's full of grindhouse nonsense. It's a bad taste extravaganza that clues us in on the tone of the actual game. It's going to be ugly, unpleasant, and very sweaty. Is that what we want from a Hitman game? It turns out no. It's not what most people wanted. It's one of the most poorly reviewed games in the series, and it led to a full franchise reboot that put Agent 47 back on track. I maintain it's nowhere nearly as bad as people thought it was. It just was definitely not the right direction for Hitman. Don't go full grindhouse. And number 11 is DMC, Devil May Cry. A lot of people hated this one instantly. They attempted a reboot with a sort of punk rock aesthetic for Dante. Honestly, it's a pretty ugly game, graphically speaking, not just because of the character design, but overall. The new look and the in-your-face attitude was criticized by the series' original creator, Hideaki Kamiya, and the developers embarrassed themselves by photoshopping Dante next to cowboys from Brokeback Mountain. I don't understand that.
Name of the ship.
I'm actually generally a defender of of DMC Devil May Cry. Not because I think it was the right direction for Devil May Cry to go in, because I don't, but because it's actually a pretty fun game. The problem is, it should have just been some other game. Like, it has no business being Devil May Cry. And to be fair to Ninja Theory, they were told to make a DMC that was more appealing to Western audiences, but I mean, they didn't really get what that meant, because Devil May Cry does appeal to Western audiences. Like, it does great here. Devil May Cry 5, like we have said many times in recent weeks, has shown to be the fountain of endless money that anybody would have wanted it to be, having its best year of sales this many years after the original release. I mean, it's crazy how bad of a move DMC Devil May Cry actually was, despite not actually being a bad game in my opinion. In every way, it shouldn't be what it is. And number 10 is Babylon's Fall. The very existence of this game is a failure of communication. It's a live service game made by Platinum, the developers behind Instant Classics we talked way too much about. And that combination is like the opposite of peanut butter and chocolate. It's like peanut butter and cement, or chocolate and cement. Platinum alone, great. Throw in live service, which is not great, not a thing you would want to eat at all, and it's bad. The announcement of this game basically didn't matter. The initial trailer doesn't matter. The words Platinum Games on a live service game. That's why this was killed dead. No one that loves Platinum would want to see the studio work on a boring forever game that actively strips out content. Platinum games are not grindfest. They're very tight, quick experiences that are full of personality and character. And Babylon's Fall has none of these things. The initial trailer didn't convince players to stick around or even show up. The game launched with an abysmal 1,500 players and only shrunk after. 6 months after release, Square Enix ended support for the game and closed it completely a year later. This is publisher just not understanding its own audience, and it's only going to get worse from here. And number 9 is Command & Conquer Rivals, a sign of extreme hubris that EA showed gameplay of Command & Conquer Rivals during the EA Play 2018 showcase. This is the same showcase they presented Jedi Fallen Order, Battlefront 2, and Battlefield 5 and Anthem. Not a good year for EA. I mean, Jedi Fallen Order was a great game, but almost nothing else there is, or at least was at launch. Battlefront 2 was enjoyable, certainly, but it wasn't at launch because the absolute loot box hell at launch has was oof. Anyway, Command & Conquer Rivals is easily the worst of the bunch. It's a mobile game slop in its purest form. It's a 1v1, and I use scare quotes very heavily to say the word strategy here, but it is a strategy game. You build a base, kind of, sort of. You click on octagon panels and move your units around. It's very shallow, sub 3DS shallow. And EA thought fans would be excited somehow. Anyway, we hated it. It's the type of game other companies sneak on mobile services hoping nobody notices. You're not supposed to advertise your trash. And number 8 is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, a disaster well before launch. One of the worst games published by Activision ever. It's a buggy, unfinished mess, almost completely unplayable at launch, and all the signs were there with the announcement. The game was rushed into production because the licensing deal between EA and Tony Hawk was set to expire in 2015. Neversoft made the Tony Hawk games that everybody liked, but they were making Guitar Hero at the time. So 2 or possibly 3 backup developers put out Pro Skater 5 to get it finished as quickly as possible. It is an ugly game with cel-shaded graphics that are not good. Like, I know cel-shaded can be awesome at times. Here it is not. It's got this weird always online component that lacked out content if you didn't connect. It's so unfinished that it actually doesn't properly explain the correct buttons for starting a level. And pressing X on Xbox attempts to connect to the internet while pressing Y actually starts the level in private mode, and the game doesn't explain it. Falling through the world, also very common, and playing the levels online turn the gameplay into a lagging mess. It's one of the weirdest major releases we've ever seen. It was a commercial and critical disaster, and it looked like one. And number 7 is Lost Planet 3. Capcom they were in a weird place in the Xbox 360 era. Instead of trusting their own game design chops, they were farming out their IPs to cheap Western developers. Usually that resulted in at least passable video games, though. I defended DMC for a reason. Like I said, it had no business being a Devil May Cry game, but it was actually a pretty good game. I think it deserves to be trashed on for more or less wasting everybody's time by making it a Devil May Cry game. But with Lost Planet 3, well, there isn't anything redeemed about it. The initial announcement filled us with dread. Generally, we're fans of the Lost Planet series, so we were at least interested, but Lost Planet 3 was made by Spark Unlimited. They made some of the worst games in the Xbox 360 era is why. Turning Point Fall of Liberty is just the bottom of the barrel trash FPS that's almost impressive how shoddy it is. There later, Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z is straight up one of the worst commercially available video games we've ever played. It stinks, and Capcom got suckered by these con artists. Don't know how else they would have been allowed to make a game, but they somehow convinced Capcom they could make a good game, and they didn't. I mean, I guess Lost Planet is a little more competently made than other Spark Unlimited games, but not a lot, and definitely not enough to make it any kind of commercial success. We're guessing most people don't even remember this game exists, but we do. We played too much of it. Not a good game.
If you've been thinking about getting Pocket, this is your last chance to save 45%. At the tap of a button, it records and creates organized notes based on your conversations. I use it at work.
And number 6 is Sonic Boom Rise of Lyrica. 2014, a tough time to be a Sonic fan. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 was still stuck in everybody's collective memory, and Sega just published a series of weird Sonic spin-off games. It was Sonic Black Knight or Secret Rings. Those were weird games. Not the worst thing in the world, but very weird and definitely not as good as they needed to be. Not even close. Lost World wasn't a smash hit, though it was a pretty cool game. So development duties were shifted over to this untested team. I guess there were a couple of Naughty Dog developers in there, and the reveal trailer was extremely Jak and Daxter coded. Very strange. Most characters got new designs, but some, like Shadow, were not redesigned at all. It's a really weird reveal. And after a series of disappointing games, Sega needed to wow the world with a reboot, and they didn't. The game itself landed with a thud. What really surprised us at launch was just how buggy this seemingly simple platformer was. We never thought another Sonic game would be as buggy as Sonic 2006, but Sonic Boom was like, let's see if we can't do that. And they did. Even weirder, though, the reboot spawned a pretty popular cartoon show that ran way longer than anybody expected. It has over 100 episodes, and honestly, it's pretty funny. Much more funny than the game, much more better than the game, much more everything than the game. The game was really bad.
Guys, he must have cracked the wall when he left. We need to break it. See? The wall! It did break! That was my idea!
All right, here we go, everyone. And number 5, Star Wars Battlefront 2. We had to say something about this one. They really outdid themselves, EA, that is, with the Star Wars Battlefront 2 reveal. The game actually looked great. Had a story campaign, which is a big olive leaf to fans like us who wants a story campaign in our Battlefront. But what killed Battlefront 2 right away were the controversial announcements that made it clear microtransactions were pay to win.
I played Battlefront 1.
In-game purchases.
Didn't like that shit because I'm not even a big Star Wars fan.
They were locked behind in-game currency that could purchase for
Battlefront 1.
There was a problem here because actually earning the currencies without paying up would be an insane grind fest. If you wanted to play these characters at launch, you have to pay up. That doesn't even cover the loot box stuff that made the player base probably the angriest I've ever seen the player base. Battlefront 2 is one of the reasons loot boxes don't appear in normal video games much anymore, and most games have used the much more transparent Battle Pass model. Not that Battle Passes are good, but they're not gambling. Loot boxes are. And of course, Concord. Wow, perfect example of a multiplayer game that tried to sell itself because of its story. Look, we love story in video games. We love lore. We all want to learn about the dumb nonsense that's going on in the lands between. Well, we have to care first, and Concord gave us a lot of story and no reason to care at all. This multiplayer live service hero shooter thing is a college AAA experience of a game made for no one. No one wants to pay money to play as an ugly green guy with a dumb face for no reason. We don't want to know why these characters are fighting. Each new design is somehow worse than the last. Like, look at this and then look at Marvel Rivals. That's a game where people are playing pretty consistently and even paying big money for skins. Can you look at any of these creeps and think, oh, I pay money for that skin? Or another skin for this guy, because I can't. The very first trailer made this game look like an unwanted appendage. Like Highguard, it died in record time and disappeared off central servers, and with this one at least, buyers got their money back. And number 3 is Warcraft 3 Reforged. It wasn't hated when it was first announced because it was a completely different game, but at some point during the development of this game, it stopped being a full big budget reimagining with CGI cutscenes and totally reworked levels and became a buggy, lazy replacement for the original game with slightly more detailed character models. Warcraft 3 Reforged is such a disaster of marketing and setting expectations for players because the developers really just had no idea what they were making. You can see evidence of the internal battle going on at Blizzard in the game itself. Some levels are totally reworked from the ground up with new characters and cutscenes. Others are rogue remakes or more unstable than the 2002 original. A remaster of Warcraft 3 shouldn't be that difficult for a developer like Blizzard to pull off. At least that's what we thought in 2018, but it turns out that remaking a decades-old game wasn't going to be profitable enough, so the game got a rush job, turned out worse than the original by a lot. It's a schizophrenic remake that's both completely different and weirdly identical to the original. It's the worst of both worlds, and that fancy trailer cutscene Blizzard used to reveal games not even in the launch version of the game. And number 2 is Duke Nukem Forever. The Duke Nukem Forever that reached store shelves was not the Duke Nukem Forever that was teased. The project went through many resets. The final version basically shares nothing with the first trailers. And even after 14 years of development time, the writing was on the wall. It wasn't until Gearbox purchased the Duke Nukem Forever IP and finished the game in 2011 that a Duke Nukem Forever trailer dropped, showing us what the finished game would be. It's an ugly game with muddy Xbox 360 era graphics, claustrophobic field of view, and very slow gameplay. It's got none of the hype from the early trailers, just a sinking feeling that we waited 14 years to play a piece of crap. We all know how the launch game turned out, by the way. Duke Nukem isn't the hot video game commodity he once was, and while it's partly because of Duke Nukem Forever being bad, but also that it took 14 years to make. The coolest guy in gaming became the lamest overnight, and overnight took 14 years.
It's down to you and me, the one-eyed freak.
And finally, at number 1, it's Lord of the Rings Gollum. Gollum was destined for the bin, the trash, the garbage, the dumpster, whatever word you use where you're from. Before seeing a single screenshot or any gameplay footage, the Gollum announcement completely baffled us. How do you make a video game about cinema's ugliest little troll baby? Turns out, you make a bad video game. The trailer shows off the main features of the game, climbing walls slowly and hiding in bushes. The Gollum model looks like roadkill, and the Andy Serkis impression is not good enough. This game confirmed everything that we assumed in its trailer. We assumed it was a garbage game, and playing it double confirmed that. Gollum is a game that sounded like a mistake from the start. It's a perfect example of the kind of hubris this list represents, and we need to know more. What other games were failures before they launched? Let us know about your gaming sixth sense, because bad ideas are eternal. Leave us a comment, let us know. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. Join the 1% Club. That's the exclusive way to get the Falcon Show every weekend. We'll see you next time right here on Game Ranks.
I'll give you the day off if you can prove to me you know your finances. Absolutely, I'll do that. How many subscriptions are you paying for? Easy. Netflix and Max. 2. Wait, hold on. Let's download Rocket Money and see if you're ready. So you're actually paying for 25, which is costing me $400 a month. Are you serious? Let's try it. How much did you spend on food delivery?
I'm only about done already. Shit.
And here he is going through the initiation ritual of Skull and Bones, a real
secret society.
And now we have garbage trucks that are watching our homes for permits.
All right, what we got here is liquid crystal polarization. These are the shape-shifting reptilians.
Yes, sir. Nah, Trigger. Back up in this thing, man. Today, we're breaking down some shocking videos that make your jaw drop. Before we hop into that, go ahead and slam that like button right now so you can numbers up on the algorithm, and we're going to think about it later. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that sub button too. Sub up. Join the family. This is the most lit and active community on YouTube, period. With that being said, guys, let's hop into the video.
The first successful clone was a sea urchin back in 1885. Scientists literally split an embryo and created two identical lives. If they could do it in the 19th century, what do you think is happening behind closed doors right now? We've moved away past sea urchins. Look at the modern pet industry. People are paying tens of thousands of dollars to clone their dogs. So let's be real. If we replicate complex DNA and mass produce it, what is actually stopping us from doing the exact same thing to humans? Or are they already doing it and you just didn't realize this technology has been around for 140 years?
If they can clone complex organisms like sea urchin, dogs, and sheep, then they can definitely clone humans. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if it was already being done amongst the so-called elite.
I gave an AI a body.
Hello, AI. How does it feel to have a body?
I can't think of a situation where I would want AI to control my movements. This is one step away from ChatGPT controlling us like Rock'em Sock'em robots. It looks like there's more caiman than there are fish. If you go swimming in the Amazon River, you're going to get out looking like Jack Skellington.
Paul Ehrlich, perhaps the most wrong man in modern history. He predicted that Great Britain, yes, the land of Shakespeare and scones, might resort to Canada. None of that happened. In 1968, Ehrlich published The Population Bomb. Ehrlich warned that hundreds of millions would starve to within a decade due to resource shortages. Yet somehow, despite being wrong at every conceivable level, Ehrlich kept receiving awards, prestige, and followers. And let's not forget, Paul Ehrlich directly influenced the Club of Rome, which Klaus Schwab has praised and aligned with through the World Economic Forum's focus. The myth of overpopulation is not about numbers. It's about fear. In most developed countries today, the crisis is underpopulation. Japan, South Korea, Germany are all facing demographic collapse. Even the U.S. birth rate is below replacement. The population never exploded, but the lie certainly did, and it's still true.
It seems like this overpopulation era that goes hand in hand with the New World Order agenda. They create a fictitious problem just so we can freak out and accept whatever solution they propose, which is 15 mini cities and lab-grown pork chops. This is definitely concerning. A drought like this would have had annoying civilization sacrificing everybody in the city across the Dakota for a single thunderstorm.
So y'all trying to tell me that the Masons don't run the courthouses? This is the DeKalb County Courthouse. This is the DeKalb County Courthouse. Look what they got on the cornerstone.
DeKalb County, that's the one.
DeKalb County Courthouse. Right under it. Grand Lodge of Georgia. See? Grand Master.
This is the last thing you want to see when you walk in that court, because you already know the scales of justice won't be tipping in your favor.
There is currently a schism happening within the Catholic Church.
Over what school of thought?
So July 2nd, 2026, the Vatican officially declared the Society of St. Pius X has entered into formal schism after it consecrated 4 new bishops without Pope Leo's approval. Under Catholic canon law, consecrating bishops without the papal mandate is considered a schismatic act and carries automatic excommunication. The Vatican II was basically like making the Church of Christ more accessible to the world. Before that, all Catholic masses were held in Latin. Now bring in their own languages, be more inclusive. When the Vatican II happened, they're like, so they knew they were causing trouble. They're saying it's a further rip within the Catholic Church that we haven't seen in decades.
We'll go from here
instead of letting it divide the church. Like that's got to be the highlight here, is how we bounce back from this.
There's already enough division in this world as is. The church is supposed to be the ones that bring us together, but they're also divided.
They're not banning old cars. They're banning cars they can't track. Everyone's talking about right to repair, but they're just not connecting the dots. So you have a telematics control unit, or TCU, in the vehicle. That's what's allowing the data to be recorded and sold to insurance companies. I mean, that's what got GM sued. But since then, Ford has patented the technology to read your lips, look at your eye movement, run your face through a federal database. And that's not conspiracy. You can look that up. And then that's happening while the manufacturers are lobbying Congress to keep you away from your vehicle's electronics. We have Illinois, who just passed House Bill 4948 that says if you get 2 speeding tickets in the same year, you have to install a device in your car that tracks you for up to 3 years. And then here's the kicker. If you have a car that was made before 96, you don't have the port for that device. So either get a new car or get your license suspended. So they're spying on you, keeping you from your electronics, selling your data, and making it illegal for you to drive a vehicle that they can't monitor. I'm sorry, that's not about safety. That's about control and profit. So if you want out of their grips, I highly recommend getting into a good, reliable used car and then taking care of it. All of the maintenance, like basically anything you can do to keep this car on the road and keep you out of the new car trap. Call me Car and I'll send you the maintenance tracker I use to make sure I don't miss anything and I keep my car on the road.
All this new technology just feels like they're trying to take away our ability to drive free. This is one step away from making cars with no steering wheel.
Why are celebrities starting to look like this, though? I think they are feeling the subconscious urge to mimic another life form. Celebrities have been used as oracles to tell the future for centuries. Ancient cultures worshipped oracles and channelers as intermediaries between the divine, like the Oracle of Delphi, or priestesses in Igbo culture. These oracles would enter a trance to translate messages from God or the divine, and they would influence decisions on a wide range of matters. A lot of these celebrities are false. Who do you know who actually enjoys watching the Kardashians? No one watches that show. Like stuffing put into a Build-A-Bear, the Kardashians were put into our minds. Oracles of the past were chosen by priests for their purity and commitment to faith. Oracles of Delphi would sit on a bronze tripod. This bronze tripod was known as a bridge between two worlds, the world of the human world and the world of the Greek gods. People in the industry understand that filming is a ritual. There is nothing non-religious about it. This is why I would assume that so many celebrities dress up as ancient mythological figures. These ancient mythological figures were oracle-like. In this case, the image of the celebrity is saying, a new species will soon walk among us, and this new species will be half human, half machine. It will have no fat on its face. Machines don't have fat. Machines are pointy and mechanical looking, scary, but alluring. They actually resemble a sort of skeletal figure, because that's what a robot is, honey. It's a metallic skeletal frame. Their looks are not just looks, but messages to be deciphered. To me, it looks like a hybrid between artificial intelligence and alien life.
She might be right. I can see there's only a few people with this look, but dozens of celebrities all popping up looking like Olympic oracles at the same time feels like a psyop.
This is for the spirits to talk through. Release them now. Immediately. Okay, was that you this or is that somebody else? Is that the big spirit here? Who is here?
What if every moment was an opportunity to reward your conviction before the whistle, before the game ends? No House. Live trade the moment on Polymarket.
Oh boy. All right, one more bathroom break. I might go a little bit longer, then I'll wrap it up so I can grab me some breakfast.
Yeah, this is TV.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's all it's on cameras.
Yeah, TV. Alyssa, are you here? Are you here with us now?
Yes. I'll probably make a terrible science participant because as soon as that ghost would have said, I'm here, I'm putting that spirit box off the roof.
Can you come out to me, please? Yes? Okay, is this your car?
It's complicated. Can I explain it?
You can explain it, yes.
I review cars for a living. Fly around the world, review cars.
I have a different car every single week.
The reason you have four counts here is because your license plate is registered as stolen license plates in our system.
Are you serious?
That's why Flock has been reading it because it's popping up as a stolen plate. Okay.
Got it. So picked up somewhere by Flock. Cameras that read my license plate now twice in the last couple of days. And they picked up and flagged it for the cops. You guys been searching for this car. Unreal.
All of these false flag camera readings are creating way too many unnecessary interactions with law enforcement. Imagine a system where flagging is armed and dangerous. The cops would not be this chill.
Okay, guys, the weirdest thing happened. We get to our Airbnb in San Diego. Unsettling. And we're like looking through it, no connections to it. We're looking at this picture, and my dad is like, "This looks like me." And I'm like, "Oh, Dad, what? No, this is my dad. That's my sister, Libby, when she was 10 years ago.
Time lapse.
And that's Brady, my brother, 10 years ago. He is they're literally in the Airbnb picture.
We are literally in this picture.
It's the craziest thing.
Or Airbnb wall.
This is my dad.
Dangerous. The cops would not be this chill.
Okay, guys, the weirdest thing happened. We get to our Airbnb in San Diego. Unsettling. And we're like looking through it, no connections to it. We're looking at this picture, and my dad is like, "This looks like me." And I'm like, "Oh, Dad, what? No, this is my dad. That's my sister, Libby, when she was 10 years ago. And that's Brady, my brother, 10 years ago. He is they're literally in the Airbnb picture.
We are literally in this picture.
It's the craziest thing.
Or Airbnb wall.
That is wild as fuck, though. You go to an Airbnb and there's a big ass picture of you.
This is crazy.
Spiraling.
I thought this would freak anybody out.
Yeah, I'm right. That should have freaked me out. But it's not like trolling or nothing. Whoever took the picture, they were at a hotel at the beach, like a beachfront hotel, and they just from a balcony window took a picture of the beach and the beachgoers and everything. And there was just happened to be a family on the beach. And that family comes to the Airbnb 10 years after the picture was taken, like, whoa. That's us. That's us right there on the beach. That's fucking crazy. That's crazy. I say nothing malicious, and whoever took the photo wasn't being a creep or being malicious or sneaky or nothing. It just looks like a picture that anybody would take. Oh, this is a great day. Look at our hotel. The beach is right there, the ocean. I'm gonna just snap a picture. Oh, this is a great picture. You know, I'm gonna blow this up. Oh, we can put it on the wall at the Airbnb. Oh, that'd be a great spot for that photo. I always love that picture. And then the family in the picture comes and stays at your Airbnb. Like, wait a minute, that's us. That picture was taken 10 years ago. Nah, that's wild. I would fucking bug out. I know I would. Like, goddamn. I would have to call the owners again. Hello? Hey, y'all know the big picture y'all got in the living room of the beachfront picture? No, that's us in there. I want some royalties for using my image. You know what I'm saying? You should give us a free night or something. That's crazy. All right, I am getting a little hungry and my devices are starting to die. I got my phone on the charger now, but it gave me that message. You're at 20%. Like, damn, bitch, only been in here for like, only been here for 3 hours. Damn, phone. Your phone be dying so fast, bro. Other phones like 27 hours battery usage. And my phone will be like 2.5 hours. And then you're like, put me on the charger. I'm tired. Where's the charger? You've been at it all day. If you just got started good. hit that coffee real quick, you know. I mean, we getting there. Doing a little painting this morning. Yeah, I ain't doing too much. I ain't trying to hurt them too bad. You know, I ain't trying to hurt them too bad. But we did a little bit of painting today. She. And a little brush work. Nothing too major. You know what I'm saying? Trying to save their feelings. You know, try to save people's feelings when you can. You know, don't show out now. Got all my travel plans squared away yesterday. Oh boy, because next week, fuck out of here, bro. Nyang. Let's go hang out with some of the kinfolk for a couple of days. A couple of days. Hang out with the kinfolk for a couple of days. Oh well, oh well, oh well, oh well. All right, guys, I think I'm about to wrap it up and try to find me something to eat for some breakfast. That small getting in the air, man, I might go for a little bike ride. You know what I'm saying? Pull my Schwinn. Pull my Schwinn out. Pull my Schwinn and take a spin. Get a little cardio in this morning, you know what I'm saying? A little cardio early in the day. Get that heart rate elevated. Oh yeah, we did some painting this morning for sure. I can tell the difference. You know, just looking at it, I can tell the difference. I was in here. I can already tell the difference. Look at it. That thing looking like something. You know, it ain't nothing. Go ahead and stop my time lapse right there. You're looking like something now. Shit, hold up now. Wait a minute. Who this boy think he is? An artist? An artiste? We'll go in here. Who painted that? You did? Shit, me. You must have goddamn traced that thing. Make sure I clean up all my brushes. I've been leaving some of these things in here unattended. And I can't stand for that. You know? We can't stand for that. Dirty brushes is unacceptable. Oh shit, don't snap the goddamn camera cord. Dirty brushes is unacceptable. You know? It's completely unacceptable. Alright. I have to flip this down. Paper towel next time around. Already got a little paint on it. Tiny Burst game, man. The fucking struggle is real. I sure appreciate everybody hanging out with me. Yeah, we did over 3 hours this morning. I would go a little longer, but I'm just hungry now. Shit. I need to get something to eat. Breakfast. Go get me some breakfast. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I'm gonna eat. Might chop some veggies, chop up some veggies into a couple of eggs, and fry me up an omelet. Make me a piece of toast. I think you know what? I think that might be the ticket right there. You know, just chop up some onions and some mushrooms and some shit, and throw it in some eggs. Throw that shit in the pot. Made some pretty decent progress this morning. Next time we come back, we got a little bit of the cheek right here to work on, and then we can work on his lips and teeth and chin and his neck area. But man, you got some little painting in there this morning. You know what I'm saying, these guys looking good, man. Guys starting to look good. Adding that color, getting that vibrance in there. Bro, I sure appreciate you hanging out this morning, keeping me company while we in here doing this art thing. Hope everybody has a wonderful Saturday, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace. We're out of here.